The date is June 1st. I will now call to order the public hearing for ordinance 2026-2 for standards and process for rezoning properties. Looks like we have two people that signed up to speak. First up is Miss Martina Hatley. If you could, please, for the record, just state your name and address. Thank you.
Sorry, thanks, Jared. Ready? Okay. Martina Hatley, 1302 South Main Street. I am speaking in opposition to this ordinance, not to the goal of improving clarity and detailed records in the rezoning process. As someone who has personally gone through this process, I found it unnecessarily stressful and intimidating, even though my request was straightforward and fully aligned with our master plan, as well as meeting the standards for change in my neighborhood. This experience highlights the need for better clarity, not additional layers of legislation. Rather than introducing what appears to be a redundant and potentially confusing requirements, the town should focus on creating a clear, accessible worksheet, which is what members of the Planning Commission had asked for. Such a resource would simplify key information, property details, ownership, current zoning, proposed changes, and whether the request falls within or outside the master plan, while also allowing space to explain the reason for the request. Our existing code already contains multiple protocols that address these elements. Adding more language to through this ordinance risks duplicating those provisions and making the process harder, not easier, for residents to understand. This ordinance seems to be designed to make rezoning deliberately difficult and convoluted. A side effect of me rezoning is saving the old parsonage where I live. As a residential property, it could have been knocked down, but now the parsonage will be there forever because the NP rezone code says that you have to use the existing structure. Housing is changing in order to solve the crisis. What if someone wanted to knock down an old home and replace it with 2 or 3 on Main Street? But that can't happen now that I'm an NP. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Ralph Gent.
Mayors and member of the council, thank you for this opportunity. As you're aware, the Planning Commission began its review of 2026-2 in February, and we provided our recommendation against the proposed amendment on April 27th. The Planning Commission provided the council a memorandum for record signifying that deliberation and that final vote, which was for, against, and one of the commissioners was supportive of it. That memorandum also showed the rationale of each commissioner's decision and vote. So I hope you've been afforded that. I wanted to stress that our 3 meetings worth of discussion on the amendment included 2 meetings with the sponsor of the amendment, and the last April meeting was solely a discussion among the commissioners, the town staff, and the town attorney. As a quick side note, after the second meeting in May, there was an effort to convene a separate working group with the sponsor to try and improve the text further, to distill the proposed text down to what the commissioners felt was supportive of the current code without intruding upon the executive authority of the mayor and town administrator to set policies and procedures for its staff in handling the business of the town, which in this case is the reclassification or rezoning of a property. One property is known as piecemeal rezoning, or properties plural, which is understood in the parlance of the land use as comprehensive rezoning, more than one. That working group did not occur because I, as the chair of that commission, felt like we were dangerously approaching taking up the pen and intruding upon the legislative authority of this council. That is your authority, not a volunteer commission. So said differently, I wanted to assure you that we took our review and recommendation task seriously, and we bridled ourselves when it started to appear that we had started taking up the pen with specific edits. So we closed with the vote that I mentioned against the proposed amendment, and we provided our rationale. As you may be able to see in my rationale against the need for this amendment, it was based upon the mayor and the town staff developing a new staff policy number 5 that used much of the proposed text to establish improved recordation and processes. I personally reviewed that policy here in Town Hall, and was pleased to see that it mirrored much of what was being proposed by Councilmember Demoter. So accolades to him laying the seed for that, and accolades for the town staff addressing it under their authority as a better process improvement. It's far easier, in my judgment, to adjust and amend and improve staff policies to effect process improvements than to go through the lengthy and arduous steps that are required for us to amend our code. I urge you to accept the new Policy 5 as the remedy. I will close by reflecting on what Carroll County does in this exact situation. It's often instructive, I speak for the commission and myself, but it's often instructive for us to look to the two counties as to how they handle something that's maybe a jump ball amongst ourselves, an issue up in the air, I'm sorry. And so when I went to the county code, I found that County Code 158, titled Zoning Regulations, I have a copy of that complete section which addresses reclassification and rezoning. Piecemeal rezoning begins here. It's so succinct, it ends here. That's it. Comprehensive zoning basically refers, that's it right there, it refers to the master plan. So my point being, their code deliberately is short, sweet, and succinct. It does point to a guide, a separate document outside their code, which is 6 pages that the petitioner must fulfill and submit to the town staff to begin a rezoning reclassification request. This is essentially our policy number 5. This is essentially our current code elements. So the bottom line is, I think we have the remedy in the new staff policy, and I would urge that we use staff policy editing to be more agile when we see a process that may need improvement. It's far easier, I think, for the staff to respond to that, and it's much more arduous, as you can tell from our proceedings here, in order to make an amendment to the code. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this public hearing? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and call to a close the public hearing for ordinance 2026-2. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time is 7:20. I will now call the public hearing for Resolution 2026-10, Water Resource Element, to order. No one signed up to speak on this. Do we have anyone who wishes to? All right, hearing none, I will now close the public hearing for Resolution 2026-10. We'll see everybody in about 10 minutes for the beginning of our council meeting. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time is 7:30. The date is June 1st. I will now call this town council meeting for the town of Mount Airy to order. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have our presentations portion of the agenda, and I will now relinquish to our mayor, Mayor Hushauer.
I forgot to turn the podium around, but we got it now. So it is my distinct honor now to invite up Joseph Garofalo, Braden Cordray, and Dylan Gassaway. As well as that, I'd like to have Ralph Kent come up and stand with us as well. That's good. All right. It is extremely rare to get an appointment to a service academy. Academies are four-year military schools that provide a bachelor's degree in engineering, science, math, or subjects as required by the United States military. In return, these graduates, following their education, sacrifice 5 to 10 years of their lives in service to their country in the armed forces. Many graduates continue serving through an entire military career of service. Those who fulfill their commitment and then enter the civilian world often achieve great things as well. Of the 4 service academies, these 3 gentlemen have been accepted to either West Point, which is a U.S. military academy, or the Naval Academy in Annapolis. To have 3 appointed young persons from one town is virtually unheard of. Realize 16,000 high school or college-age kids apply to the U.S. Naval Academy. Of those, 1,400 were offered appointments. Of those, 1,200 accepted. And of those, in 2026, 1,059 of them graduated. For West Point, 12,000 applied, only 1,200 accepted, and only 998 graduated in 2026. These 3 gentlemen have already beat the odds. Now they must survive a rigorous 4 years that will allow them to join the ranks with past presidents, cabinet members, members of Congress, governors, astronauts, Rhodes Scholars, and true war heroes. The first year is the toughest. It is where such youthful greatness is humbled by the upperclassmen. These 3 will truly be tested physically, mentally, and academically. But I have no doubt that they're going to make it. As an incentive to graduate and a reminder of this town's support and pride in you, we, the mayor, class of 87 USNA, town council, back there, and Ralph Gent, West Point class of 1975, offer this insignia as a second lieutenant and a Navy ensign to be worn upon your graduation. We hope that you'll keep it in your footlocker or at home somewhere that it may serve as a reminder that a town of 10,000 people stand behind you. But before we do so, Ralph, do you have a few words to say as well?
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. I want to add my congratulations to these 3 young men. It is an amazing achievement for us to have 3 going to these 2 academies. I also want to offer my recognition and thanks to the parents and families of these 3 young men. Their success in this is a direct and admirable reflection on you pushing for academic excellence, athletic excellence, and the development of great character, their sense of honor, integrity, and above all, a desire to serve their country. So I and the mayor commend you right alongside these fine young men. On June 25, Dylan Gassaway will be reporting to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, for what is referred to as Induction Day, or I-Day. On June 29th, exactly 4 weeks from today, Braden and Joey will be reporting to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point for what they refer to as Reception Day, or R-Day. Those 2 days for these gentlemen will never be forgotten. It will be tough, but as the mayor said, and as a tradition of Academy graduates, we want them to keep their eye on the ball. And as these bars await their graduation day on 2030, we want them to remain steadfast and look downrange at this goal as every challenge faces them every day of the next 6 weeks in new cadet training, and then the later 4 years of rigorous academics and military training. So I congratulate you and ask that the mayor do the honor.
Okay, we have a certificate as well. Let's see who ended up on top of it. Second lieutenant bars. So keep them safe and see who came out next. Another West Point. Thank you. be the Navy guy, right? We're here. Your ensign doors? Unless you go Marine Corps, then we got a problem. All right. Yep. All right, congratulations. If you don't mind, we'll call your families up. Council, if y'all come up. We'll slide a little more to the middle here. I know, we can't stand.
I'm normally the tallest one.
We're gonna fight about the tallest one, I think.
Stand up. Everybody say party.
Thank you all and good luck to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Mary.
Next thing on the agenda is a presentation of the Mount Airy Police Department's station that we've been working on for about a year now. And to get us started on this presentation, I'll just mention a few items that might lead us better into the project. Around 2015 is when we were still being served by the Maryland State Police Resident Trooper Program. This program was not cheap. I believe it had just gone over $800,000, slated to go over $1 million the following year. Without belaboring the point, it was decided to form our own police department. I think it's fair to say we underestimated the costs at that time associated with it, but we did get all the value that we wanted in terms of service to the community and quality of law enforcement. What was not fully anticipated was a need to hire several officers very quickly, along with the cars, the guns, the uniforms, pay, annual upkeep in a police station. In 2017, it was decided to rent a temporary space to house the police department. And this is where we are, still located 8 years later. In June of 2021, Barney sent an email to Charlene explaining the anticipated costs of the MAPD station project. And Barney will explain how inflation has impacted that over these years. In October and November of 2022, two council members brought forth an ordinance to obligate $2 million from reserves toward the MAPD project. I think the ordinance failed as it was written, but the wording in this ordinance characterized the station as a general health and safety related need for the town. In January 2023, as part of the Mount Airy Crossing development, 2 acres of property were to be deeded or given to the town as a location for the station. This land would have come at the cost of a mixed-use development, and the council rejected that, and thus we had to find land and purchase that property. The property associated with Green Tree was purchased for the purpose of creating the MAPD station. At that point, we interviewed several architectural firms. Councilmember DeMotor was integral to this process, and ultimately Mosley was chosen. They'll review a quick timeline of meetings thus far as part of their presentation. The purpose today is to present the council with the concept thus far. You may certainly ask questions after the presentation. There is no vote required at this meeting. As long as it is sensed that we're moving forward in an acceptable manner, Mosley and the staff will complete the architectural and engineering of the building, which is already funded, and then that product will be bid out for construction. The actual construction is when the council would hit the next wicket, as the actual construction will require council approval. And that's where we are. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mosley, and you can show us where we are.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And before I start, I do also want to extend my congratulations to all of your graduates going on to the Naval and to West Point Naval Academy. Thank you for your service to our country. With that, I would like to move forward into the agenda for the presentation tonight. So tonight we're going to first introduce to you the teams of people who have been working on this. We're going to go over the existing conditions of your current police station and then the needs of the police as it exists today and looking into the future for the next 10 years. We're going to look at the building and the site and how the diagrams interact and how the site lays out. We're going to look at what we're calling our base design, and that would be the base building that you guys would need in order to function at an optimal ability. And then we're going to look at future and expansion, and we'll get into that as we go as to why we're looking at that now, and we're going to look at the cost estimate last. So if we look at the teams, first of all, my name is Danielle Anderson. I'm the project designer and an associate with Mosley. Today I have with me Martin. He's our project manager, and Ashley Besom. She is with AdTech. And then, of course, you may recognize the names on the list from Mount Airy. I'm actually going to kick it over to the chief of police for this slide. This goes over the existing conditions. We took a visit of the existing police station. I do understand that a lot of you have been able to get down there and visit it. If you haven't, of course, I would encourage you to go, just to understand the state of the situation firsthand, but I'll let the police speak to this in more detail.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Current police station conditions. The current police facility has served the department for many years. However, operational demands, staffing growth, technological advances, and community expectations have exceeded the building's original design and capacity. Several areas require improvements to maintain efficiency, officer safety, and of course, public service standards. Our existing conditions, we have limited space, insufficient office and workspace for personnel, investigations, command staff, and specialized units. Inadequate briefing, report writing, and training areas. For officer safety and security concerns, outdated prisoner processing and holding areas, limited separation between public access areas, and secure operational spaces, aging surveillance and access controlled systems. Technology limitations, infrastructure not designed for modern policing technology, limited data capacity, communication systems, and digital evidence storage capabilities. Training deficiencies, the lack of dedicated training rooms, scenario-based learning space, and wellness facilities. Limited accommodations for continuing education and interagency collaboration. Community accessibility. Public lobby and meeting spaces are outdated and insufficient for community engagement. Parking and accessibility limitations for visitors and staff. Building maintenance issues, aging HVAC, plumbing, and electrical systems, increased maintenance costs, and reduced energy efficiencies. The need for the new police station. A new police station would provide a modern, secure, and efficient environment capable of supporting current operations and future growth. The proposed facility would enhance public safety services while improving operational readiness, employee wellness, and community engagement. The new benefits of the facility would be improved operational efficiency, properly designed workspaces for patrol investigation, administration, and support services, enhanced workflow between divisions and operational units, enhanced officer safety and public safety, secure access control systems and modern surveillance technology, safer prisoner transport and processing areas, improved emergency preparedness and response capabilities, modern technology integration, infrastructure capable of supporting advanced communications, digital evidence management, and future technology upgrades, our dedicated server and emergency operation areas, expand training capabilities of on-site and training conference facilities, space for scenario-based instruction and professional development, community-focused design, welcoming public lobby and community meeting rooms, improved accessibility and accommodations for residents and partner agencies, long-term financial sustainability, reduced maintenance and repair cost, increased energy efficiency and operational savings, and facility designed to accommodate future departmental growth. In conclusion, MAPD has been on borrowed time from the state for a police station. While improvements to the current facility may be temporarily address some deficiencies, the long-term operational safety and community needs of the department support the development of a new police station. A modern facility would better position the agency to provide professional, efficient, and a responsive public service for many years to come. Thank you. As you can see from some of the pictures, I'm sorry, could you go back from a slide there? Thank you. As you can see, again, some of the accommodations that I speak of. If you look at one of the pictures there where the bikes are in the middle picture, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the ladies' bathroom. That is stored. We're out of storage. I mean, we have bikes in there, and we have other information set in there as far as stuff from COVID for usage and community service events. So currently we do have one civilian female employee, but if we were to expand with other females, either civilian or law enforcement, these are the current conditions that a female would have to use for that facility. And again, the bottom picture, inadequate storage for what we have for maintaining in the facility as well. Thank you.
Just to carry on with, from the chief, what he said, the leasing, to talk about a little bit about costs, we're spending about $65,000 at a time for this, which is not cost effective. It's too small for current and future needs. The original building that was approved back in 2017 was granted an exception, a waiver, to go into an existing building that's not a risk category 4 building, which is required for a police or fire station or similar type of station. So we were given a waiver with the condition that we'd be searching for a new station. So that's the reason why we're looking for a permanent station. And obviously, touch on just a few of the things the chief said, to improve safety, reliability, compliance, and public service. That's some of our objectives here. So back to Danielle.
Thank you. This is the layout of the existing station as it stands today. We're looking at about a gross square footage, and gross just means that we're including corridors or circulation spaces, and then we're also including the thicknesses of walls, things like that that wouldn't actually be occupiable square footage, so that's what that means. It's about 4,500 gross square feet right now. We're looking at a request of 9,134 square feet. That was per the proposal that was brought to us when we initially signed the contract. And then if we look at the 20-year needs of your station after conversations and interviews and determining all of that, we took into account it would be about 10,200 gross square feet. So in about 20 years, that's what you're going to need. If you look at the base plan, which we're going to be presenting and talking about today, we are proposing a 6,600 gross square foot plan. And then there are some alternatives that we could add in the future that we're also going to go over today that would round you out to a little under 8,600 gross square feet. And we'll get into why those numbers are what they are as we go through the presentation. Building and site diagram. So I'm going to start off with the inspiration because I know that we're going to talk about a lot of numbers here, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact of what this is for. The first thing that we determined after having conversations with your police department is, one, they want it to be warm and welcoming to the community. The current police station is a little tucked away and the lobby is rather small. They want it to be approachable because when you're visiting a police station, you're obviously in some form of distress or disgruntlement, and so trying to make it as friendly as possible. They want it to reflect the context of Mount Airy, the beloved aspects. They want it to be durable because they don't want to have to build another station anytime soon. Functional, secure, poised for the future. They want it to be a landmark. So with the location that we're going to be working with in that Green Tree development, it's going to be one of the first buildings you see as you come into town from that side in that direction. So we want it to be something that is welcoming to Mount Airy, but also indicates you've reached this town. And then we also want it to be attractive to future recruits because it's very difficult to maintain police officers at a station right now. All across the country, people are feeling this pressure. So we want it to be attractive to your future police force. This is the site layout. This might be a little bit easier and more digestible for people to understand it, where we're looking at. We're going to be right off of Route 808 and Candace Drive. We're going to be on the corner of that lot. The future Green Tree Village development is going to be going behind the station. So we're also very aware of that when we're designing it, that there has got to be no back to this station because people are always going to have a view of it from every side. But right now we're putting the police up in front in that corner. This is a diagrammatic site plan. It's boiled down to the most basic ability to understand. So right now, we're anticipating that you have your Route 808 on the left-hand side. You will have your future Red Sunset Court, which will be developed by Green Tree, and that will be the main pedestrian entrance. I can use the laser pointer. That will be the main entrance for civilians to visit. You will have a sufficient size lot for the beginning of your station in this corner here, and they will route through the sidewalk to the public entrance here. As for the police officers, something that they don't have now that we're looking to give them is their own separate and secure entrance. This is typical for a police station where they will come in off instead of Candace Drive and they will circulate to the back of the building. This dashed line here is indicating what would be a future Sally port that would actually be built out, but for now we're going to show a secure fence. And this is just intentional because you may be transporting someone for an interview and you don't want anything negative to happen. We also just have a modest, dumpster enclosure as easy access as possible for anybody who would be picking up the trash for the town. And then, as you may notice, we've got some locations like number 2, number 3, number 5, and number 4 that are designated for the future build out. We're going to get to that, and I will show you what that looks like in a second. The base design. As I mentioned before, the base design is what we need in order to function at an optimal position. So if you go to the next slide, This is the plan layout that we have come to rest on. This plan layout, if we start at the front door, you walk in through a vestibule and you've got a lobby that is for where the public would stay, sit, wait for anybody who they need to speak to. You would have your duty desk, which is basically your receptionist, right off of that lobby. This dashed line is indicating what we call the secure perimeter, which is where the public would not go beyond. So that would be where the main public area would be contained. If you continue on back into the base or the bulk of the station, we would have offices along this front corridor here. We would have some dedicated storage areas. The storage types have been removed for security purposes, but we have all of our different storage areas here. We have a main officer workroom, and then we actually positioned the mechanical and electrical sprinkler and IT rooms off of the back. That was very intentional because that's going to be easy to expand in the future for when your station's going to grow. Off of the back, you also have your locker room with private and semi-private changing rooms and toilet shower rooms, unisex. And then we also have what we're calling your evidence suite for all of your different evidence storage types. Both the locker room and the evidence suite are located off the back because if you come in and you're on shift and you're either, for some reason you got wet or for some reason you're covered in something unspeakable, then you can go to the locker room immediately and you can shower and you can change. And then if you have your evidence suite, you do not want to carry evidence throughout the entire station before you bag and tag it. So we put both of those right off of this back entrance, which is where the police will be able to come in. If we continue on down the hallway, we've separated this part off. This is the suspect interview suite. This is where if somebody needs to be interviewed, they will bring in that person and they will not have access to the rest of the station in case anything needs to happen. And they will have their own private toilet. They will have this is the soft interview or the juvenile interview room. That meaning that it's for a more casual conversation instead of a hard conversation. And then all of those other rooms are respective to that purpose. And then off the front, we also have a conference room for daily roll call, things like that. Now, if you notice, it sort of looks like a bite has been taken out of the building. And I'm going to explain that. We are very aware of the budget concerns for this town. And so we are doing our best to plan for the future and piece this building together in order for future build-ons to not interrupt the flow of the existing station if this was built. So I'm going to go ahead and move on, and I'll show you a little bit more of what that looks like. Here's what it would look like if you would build the base building. Right now we're looking at a brick water table. You would have planters out front that would act also as vehicular barriers, and then the back, the main part of this structure would be a metal panel cladding. It has some of the patterning of a large format brick or stone, but instead it's a metal panel, which is a very lightweight material and much more durable than something like an EFIS panel that we've also discussed and explored. These are some of the renderings and the views of the station, looking at it from the corner, looking at it from the entrance as you would walk in, looking at it from the street, and then looking at it as if you would come down Candace Drive. So the future expansion. Like I said, we're very aware of the goal of this building. We're seeking to give you a police station that will function as good as well as possible without shortchanging anything. If we reduce square footage, then we might have to add to the building in an inefficient way. Instead, we're going to plan the building as a base, and then we're going to add things strategically and think about it in the future. So, for example, we have a canopy up at the front. That would just be added visual effect, but also protect people as they're coming in the station. You're going to have, instead of that conference room right here, it's going to be converted into a restroom and a storage area, and this would become what we call the Emergency Command Center. The town will seek a grant for this. I will not talk to that too much. I will let the town talk to that. But we're looking to create that as a community room space, but also as a room because you guys are in between two counties as a place to host other police officers, which you guys do now, but do not have a space for. It is also a room for you guys to do things like your training. I know that Taser training was the specific one that was mentioned. You need a certain distance. You don't want to be hit close range, and so they actually have to go and to a different space in order to do this right now, which is not effective or efficient. So we're trying to look to give them that kind of a space in their own building. And then off of the back, this is where I mentioned you would have that security fence currently. In the future, we envision it becoming what we call a sally port, which is basically a garage you drive up into and then you transfer your prisoner. It's just safer, more secure, less risk of what we call cut and run. And then you would also have large outdoor accessible storage types for things that would be something that you don't want to bring in. You saw some bikes in the other station. If you have an outdoor storage, it's a lot easier to store that. And then we would anticipate future expansion off of the back side. We've made that flat very intentionally so that it would be super simple. If you continue on, we have one other, oh, not yet. So if you look at this, we're also developing the site in phases as well. So if you're looking at the building and we're developing different pieces at a time, different pieces of parking are going to come with that. So we're not doing it all at once because, again, we're trying to be very aware of our monetary abilities. So we would expand that fence in the future out so that it encompasses this entire back area as a parking lot for your officers. And then you would have the ability to circulate all the way around the building in a car like this. So the two drives would eventually connect. You would have additional civilian parking out front for that future community room and have the ability to rent that out. And then you would also have that build off of the sally port in the back. And as number 8 still indicates, future expansion. The other add alternate that we're looking to put into this is not just the community room, the canopy, the additional sally port, things like that. In respect to the context of Mount Airy, we're looking to add what we call a mansard screen on the roof, and that gives it more of a contextual feel. Right now, we have taken that off because it is purely aesthetic, and it will it costs a little bit more than we want to pay for it right now. So that's planned for the future as well. And then, like you see, that bite mark that had been taken out of the building has been filled in with the community room. So just for comparison, this is your base elevation right here of the building. You would not have to, we've designed it so far that you would not have to do demo as much as possible. We are trying to build this as future-proof as possible so that you would have as little interruption as you can. And then in the future, this is what you would have. I think there's a little animation if we continue forward. Yep. So the community room appears. And then you have the roof, the canopy, and that's all that's in that view. These are the 3D renders of what it would look like. And the cost estimate, which is, I know, what everybody is going to be anxious about. Schematic design cost estimates. We went through several rounds of cost estimation. We got sticker shock on the first one, so we went back to the drawing board and we kept working. Base construction for the site and the building is going to be a little under $6 million. We've priced out all of those additional pieces that we're looking to add in the future and what that would cost. What we're looking to do is continue on through design, and then you're never going to know how much the building is really going to cost you until you get a bid from a contractor. And so once you get a bid from a contractor, then you'll be able to know what you can afford. If for some reason you can afford, say, for example, the metal canopy at the entrance, then you can afford that based on the bid. But otherwise, until then, this is just the estimate that we're guessing, and we are holding off on those for now. This is also assuming an escalation of 3.5%, which is based on the last 10-year average, which is also considering the fact that we went through COVID, and those escalation rates are higher than average. I'm going to turn it over to the town now to continue on with some of the facility budget updates and numbers.
Thank you. If you remember, we did a feasibility study back several years ago. From that feasibility study, we did not get an exact cost estimate from the consultant because we didn't have a site selected. That was the primary reason. And site selection makes a difference whether you have utilities there, whether you need to run, longer driveways, or if you have hills that going to need more excavation. So we could not come up with a good estimate. What we did have is we had some base estimates that we had come up with in 2021. And the land acquisition, we were estimated about $900,000. And like the mayor had mentioned, this was based on an email that I had sent to accounting. The land acquisition was if we didn't have, for instance, Beck property was one of the options where we might have been donated, the land where it wouldn't have cost anything. The AE design services was $450,000, and the base building construction was up to $5 million. So it was somewhere around $4.5 to $5 million. Actually, we want to err to the worst case. So that was the 2021 estimate. I threw in a number for $100,000. I didn't change that each year because that's just an allowance, and I think even a couple years from now, that's going to be more than enough for security systems. So we come up with a total project cost of $6.4 million. If you look at the inflation, and I just use consumer price index that we normally use for the last 5 years, if you take those same numbers, you'll see that number rises to $6.1 million for construction, or $7.89 for total project costs in 2026. The actual costs, we see our land acquisition was a little bit under that estimate. The AE design services a little bit over, but that includes construction services through construction. So it's more than just design. And then the base building, as Danielle had showed you, it was 5.9 million, or 6.1, kind of lines up very close to that. Again, the actual costs, we're estimating $7.6 million. Go to the next slide. So the 2026 estimate, we're not building it this year, so there's still an escalation, whether we build it next year or the year after. We figured about 3.5%, so we added to that 3.5% each year. So our 7.6 million went to 7.8 in 27, or 8.1 in 28. The way we're funding this, we do have a DHCD loan of $4.5 million. That doesn't change. That's the same amount regardless which year you build it. We do have a grant for $100,000 currently. The reserves that you've already approved for land acquisition and engineering is $1.5 million. And additional reserves needed, again, depending on the year, ranges from 1.4 to 2 million. And then next slide. So showing that 1.4 to 2 million, this is looking at your available reserves today. General fund reserves for public safety, we have about $500,000 up to, if you add inflation with that number in 28, we might have $989,000. That includes more than 3.5%. And Katie helped me with these numbers. The general fund reserves, we have 3.9 million currently, adding 3.5% to those numbers each year for 27 and 28. That's about 4.2 million of the 2 million that we would need in 28. Other general fund reserves is just showing you that there's money in there, but some of it's earmarked for parks, some of it's for streets and roads, but it's just giving you an idea of how much total reserves you have between 6.7 and 7.7 million in the general fund. And that's about all I have for that. Some key takeaways. Estimated project costs, they do increase because of inflation, but you're also earning interest on the money you have in your reserves that offset that a little bit. But it's about $270,000 a year each, more each year that it costs. We are still paying a lease of, in today's cost, about $65,000 a year. And our existing reserve balances, as you can see, do exceed what the upfront cost would be. And potential new grant pending final appropriation requests. We do have other grants that we have applied for, and we are waiting on results of several, a few grants that have been applied for. And that's about all I have.
Thank you again for letting us come and talk to you about this. We know that police force is a very important part of everybody's community, and they protect us every day. So we're very honored to that you guys have allowed us to be a part of this process. And at this point, I'll turn it back over to the mayor for closing comments.
And in closing, the staff is not making a recommendation. What they're doing is putting the information out there for y'all to see where we're at on this project. And I think at this time, Council President, if you want to open up the questions, that's fine.
I think I need to breathe for a minute.
Drinking from a fire hose.
Well, you get organized. I do have one question for them. Or do you want to go first, sir?
No, actually, what I'm going to do, I know Councilmember Demoter's been kind of working with them and probably has more knowledge than any of us, and he might be able to answer questions before we even ask them. So if you want to lead off, that's fine. Questions, comments,
Okay.
concerns?
So I think I've been, everybody here knows I've been incredibly supportive of our police department, our police officers, our chief. I've been a champion on the need for a police station. I'll just get to the brass tacks. Mayor Hushar, in your introduction, you said, there's no vote tonight, but we just want to see if we're moving forward, quote, in an acceptable manner. This is not, to me, moving forward in an acceptable manner because the executive branch on numerous occasions communicated to our community and to my constituents that this entire project would cost $6 million. The entire project for the property and for the building. And now we're seeing cost estimates for a base building, not even with some of the features we put in our RFP, of $1.2 to $1.8 million over budget just for the base building. If I were a member of the community, I'd be a little bit really not happy about that. So I'm just telling you, and I have been on most of the team calls, and I've been very transparent. This is an executive branch project. I'm the liaison, and I appreciate being the liaison. So I've offered comments interdispersed, but this is clearly an executive branch. I think it is a recommendation. That's what you're presenting here is your best foot forward here. On almost every call, I kept saying, you're kind of going over budget here. You're going over budget. This is not what we communicated to the citizens. And so for me, I cannot support this design and this cost because we told the community $6 million. As a decision maker, I like to see options. This is one option. I want to see other options. And so I think it was shortly after Christmas, and we had a team call, and I made a plea to the design team manager, Mr. Bennett, I think. And I said, look, I look at you as my doctor. I'm going to you asking for a prescription. You guys know how to build these buildings. You know what our budget is. Bring back something that meets my needs in the budget. And he said, I apologize if this isn't meeting your expectations. We'll bring you back a design that meets your needs that's within your budget. And 2 weeks later, on January 14th, we got a revised design that was much smaller, but I want to, this is important. I want to read this because this is the email that Danielle sent. We have worked on creating a smaller plan as discussed after that week's meeting. What was removed is what we believe the station can do without and still optimally function. Please note this square footage is below what was laid out in the RFP. Please also note that the reduction in square footage will reduce the building and, in italics, site costs. That said, we think this is a viable option that would still meet the police needs for many years. Please let us know if you have questions. We're here to help. So my point is, there was an option, because I was pushing back. And so the team came back with an option of a smaller design. Granted, some of the rooms are smaller. We're not getting everything that maybe we would like to have, but it was a building that, per the design team, said would meet our needs. And at the time, they thought they said it would likely fit within our $5 million budget. They'd have to send it to the cost estimation team. And I was happy with that. And then we kind of diverted back to the older design and advanced that process. And this smaller design, to me, never got its due consideration. So if the council and the mayor wants my support on this building, I'm going to need to see at least one other option as a decision maker. I have a lot of other comments and questions I could ask, but I just cannot support this project because it is over budget, and it's going to keep climbing, and it's not what we told the community. And I made a commitment to the citizens to be fiscally responsible, and my goal is to keep this project within the budget that we told our community. So those are my initial reactions. Thank you.
I'll open the floor to council. Questions for Mosley or town staff?
What was that, sir?
Questions for Mosley or?
Oh, okay, all right, gotcha. Oh, there's questions for Mosley. Because we constantly had the Civil Air Patrol come here when they were locally based over at the Isaac Walton Lake. They lost their center or their rights or whatever, permission to use that. They were searching for a place. Currently, they're up at South Carroll. And I was hoping that, say, once the Emergency Command Center would be built on, they would have enough space to do that, to use the command center as a weekly meeting, because they do provide services for the town. And I'm just wondering, well, your best professional guess, the 867 general square feet, how many people would that hold?
I would say it's probably a 30 to 40 person conference room.
Well, I can't.
30 to 40.
People, okay, so that might be a little bit small side for them. Okay, anyhow. But no, the options, the way I've been understanding this for several years now, is that back and forth between you and the thing. We come back, so there has been options. You're the professional designs, so I'm not going to question that much on what the offices need. I know that their current location is woefully inadequate for them, to say the least, almost, I would say, endangering them in some areas of things. So, and unfortunately, 2021 was a cheap year. Things have gone up. I wish I was paying the same gas price. I think everybody here was. I think diesel has gone to a point where it's everything that's not going to go back down. Unfortunately, prices in the grand scheme of things, over time, once they raise, they stay up. They're never going to go down. And unfortunately, we tried, and as the way I understood it, when this began, the best way to describe it is that we had a larger footprint for less money. Basically, say we had 10,000 square feet or maybe whatever we were asking for. Their RFP in 2021, you might not have been.
Yeah, your RFP was around 9,000 square feet.
9,000 for less money, okay?
Assuming yes.
Yeah, and that was 2021, where everything was priced out in 2021.
Correct.
We weren't planning, nobody was planning on whatever the inflation rate now is, has been. Construction costs have gone up across the board. I'm sure home builders would love to be able to build a house for 2021 prices. I think everybody here would love to be able to purchase a house for 2021 prices. That's just not reasonable or realistic in today's market. And unfortunately, the longer we wait, the more money it's going to be. So therefore, we would have to sacrifice even more space for it. So unfortunately, I know we've kind of hinted it would be within this budget, a different budget. Times change. Things have gone up. All our budgets have gone up. We have made do by basically, I want to say, removing items that other police stations have, that it would be almost classified as safety and security, both for the officers, the people, and the public for that. So we cannot, unfortunately, reduce it even more. And particularly for a person living up that way and would have to see this on a daily thing, I think the design is adequate for the area. Could it be improved on? Yes. But can we afford the improvements that would make it better at this time? No. I also like the fact that it's designed for, the best way to describe it is easy addition. That way you don't have to say shut it down or shut down a part of it. It's basically, I want to say Lego blocks or something of
Phasing
that
is
nature.
expensive when you try to do an addition or renovation on an existing building.
Building that wasn't designed for it. So
Yes.
this is designed good. Would the Sally Port be preferred at this stage? Yes, but it's a lot more than I would anticipate or thought. The additional canopy on the front door would look nicer, it would offer some protection. There are some things that would offer protection and maintenance, but unfortunately, that's what we live in. Unfortunately, the world we live in today. The town will, I'm trusting the executive branch to do whatever it takes to get grants and things of that nature to offset the costs of it. Unfortunately, when we went out for the DHCD loans, I tried to say, can we get more for it just because of this reason? And I was told, no, we couldn't. It's just a state policy. Also, people out there might ask that, well, why can't the federal government? I know I'm going on, Tim, sorry about that. Why can't the federal government? We should be getting some more money from the federal government for this. Well, unfortunately, during the last visit by Congresswoman Elfreth, to our surprise even, that the current Congress for earmarks does not allow police station funding, which was interesting to us, and state can't do bonds, but there are ways around it for police, so we will work with people to try and offset this cost. Unfortunately, I think if we try and shrink it down anymore, it's almost what we have now. And as the chief said, that facility is beginning to degrade and is inadequate. I don't want to force female officers to go into a locker room that has bikes, storage, chemicals, and everything else. I know we're all adults over there and respectful, but in case of an emergency, people really don't care what happens if you need to be washed off because of a chemical spill or something else on you. But having a place, privacy to change and stuff is nice, even for the female employees.
And that has been a design challenge, fun, I say challenges in a fun way, to make sure that your building is not less than what you currently have, because otherwise there's no point in doing this.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, at a point where we think that it's in a good spot for what you guys need without being undersized. I don't want to ignore what Councilman DeMotor has said, however, and say that, yes, we put forth a plan because we were challenged with meeting a $5 million budget. So we went back and we gave you a 6,000 square foot plan. At this point, however, the economy of scale has kicked in. I do want to say you are going to get a higher cost per square foot if you go smaller. Right now you are at about 900 square feet. If you go smaller, your cost per square foot is going to do nothing but go up, because the cost of mobilization and the trades and getting everything to the site and the actual construction of it, it's not going to offset anything anymore. That's in today's dollars at the moment as well. But I'm sorry, continue.
Oh, no. The cost and the price of construction, we're not the experts here. We basically know that, costs have risen. And I'm sure that construction CPI in the short term is much higher related to than overall daily expenses. So the longer we wait, and that's not going to go down. Trades are shorthanded now. Materials have been tariffed and everything else. Materials are in short supply, and we have to meet ever-increasing requirements from various organizations for safety and things of that nature. So I think, unfortunately, I don't want to say, yeah, let's do it, but it's like we can move forward with it and finalize the plans and put it out for bid. because that's about the only way we will truly know the cost. As you said, if smaller square foot, if we shrink it down, it's going to go up. So we're not really potentially saving money in the long run, unfortunately, if it goes more money. Smaller cost raises our overall cost. And this is for the taxpayers of the town, for public safety, and surrounding community members that have constantly said they do not represent or get proper coverage from the county sheriff offices. And I do like the fact that the command center can offer, I want to say, a stopover for Frederick or Carroll County sheriffs, almost like an auxiliary stop for them. And I mean, a newer police station can also be a recruiting mechanism for our force. And the long run, it shows that we have dedication, that we want to support our police. We try and give them at least the basic requirements of it, and basically giving them I want to say, a less than optimal station that's now been designed 10 years ago with, a waiver from the state. What happens if the waiver yanks it? Then trailers? So that concludes for now, Council President. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry for the long run.
You're good,
Yes, please. Hi, thank you for your presentation. Couple questions, really specific one.
Sure.
Was a 9,000 square foot police station ever possible for $5 million?
No.
Between 2021 and now?
2021 and now, I cannot say that with certainty. I have only been practicing since 22.
Okay. Can somebody answer that?
Martin, you might be able to answer that better.
2021, I can't, I can't speak to 2021 prices, honestly. I mean, I can tell you that we have, in terms of our choice of materials and the amount of glass on the building and the geometry of the building, everything we've done, basically all the design choices we've made, when you saw how simple the base design was, is done with while still using durable and appropriate materials to be as efficient as possible. So certainly in today's dollars, it's not, based on all the feedback we've gotten, we actually hired 2 different cost estimating firms. We got a cost estimate, and then we hired another firm to do a review of the first cost estimate. And they both, which basically just affirms the first cost estimate. So the answer today is no, it's not possible.
I understand that. I guess and this is a little bit, these are historical questions because I'm the new guy here, right? So I guess through the whole presentation, and Barney, for some of your words, I'm wondering how did we get $5 million? I mean, you also said we couldn't come up with a good estimate.
Yeah, we had some input from the previous consultant, but it was more just in-house estimate. So.
Okay. That's all I have right now.
Jason.
Just as a general comment, there's been so much volatility in prices going back from 2020-ish to now. Prices have been all over the map.
Yeah,
And it's been a challenging time to project years, in the future what something's going to be.
I completely understand. I'm worried that our base numbers were just flawed. So, which means the whole thing's flawed. So that's what I'm wrestling with. So that's what I'm trying to get to. Thank you.
Jason.
No.
Get that on the record, please.
That's way off.
What, that he spoke or has no questions?
No, it's fine. First, like you said, great presentation.
Thank you.
It's clear that you're firm and your ability to design a building, and really, I think we were expecting this in January, and the cost was way high, and the amount of time and effort that you guys have done to try to trim down everything you could that was access, but still give us a great product, definitely shows. So I 100% appreciate the time, the effort from your company. That being said, one question I do have is, we have a 2026 estimate, a 27, and a 28 estimate when it comes to construction. Putting shovel to dirt, what year do you think that would be? So let's just say everything kind of goes along the way it should. Because, I mean, you're looking at a difference of about 300,000, give or take, year over year.
I did have a discussion with the developer of Green Tree, who we're acquiring the property from. And if all the stars align, everything like that, we could potentially start as early as summer of '27. But I wouldn't count on all the stars aligning. You just don't know exactly what still we're going to run into as far as they still need to get everything excavated, get all the utilities in, have us a pad-ready site so that we can get started. Will that be ready by next summer? I don't know. I think that's why I gave you a 27 number and a 28 number.
Yeah.
Just give you an idea of what 3.5% escalation would give you.
Right.
As far as the design process, we can easily match that as well.
All right. What would the adjusted estimate be for 2029? Because we know how long it took just for the traffic circle to happen. I mean, we're adding probably what it'd be about 2.4 million added on if we're just doing the same 3.5%.
I think we said it was about 270,000 more if you add another year.
About 2.3. Okay. What?
900, right? 300,000 a year?
Yeah. The 20, oh, yeah. So 2.9.
You're starting from here,
I'm starting from here. So, what kind of is throwing me for a loop is, as I understand, cost inflation. I've owned my own business for 20 years now. I understand things go up. I understand how all of that works. What I'm struggling with is that this council was given a task to agree to a certain amount, and that amount was a $4.5 million DHCD loan, and then a $1,550,575 from reserves. That's what we agreed to. That's nowhere close to where we're at. And I do understand that things change, but as far as I'm concerned, if we're even thinking of allocating another 1.7 to 2 million, you might as well stop now. Because we are in no shape, looking at our reserves, which are right here, to do that. I don't know what that means. Chief Ginevra knows I love our police more than just about anybody. But when it comes to a police station, it's a little bit different than a traffic circle or some other building. There are no grants that the state is really going to apply for. The state and the federal government stopped supporting police a long time ago. And that's just a fact. So I'm not counting on any grants. I'm not counting on any additional money. And the reason why this is so important is because we are reaching into our citizens' pockets and pulling this money directly out. And I agreed to the amount that pretty much everybody knew wasn't going to happen. So why was it in front of us? Mosley knew that this amount was not going to happen. I'm sure town staff knew it wasn't going to happen. So why did we waste our time voting on it? Just to say we're going to need $2 million more on top of it. If you would have thrown a number at me at almost $8 to $9 million, it's getting voted down right then and there. We're not in a position to do that. Money is not emotional, money is factual. We don't have it. So I don't know where to go from here. I know we own the land, but we wouldn't have done that either if we knew what this cost was going to be. The good thing is we own the land with some equity into it. If we sell it, we pocket the money. But I don't feel comfortable with any of these numbers. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. Things are what they are. But you can afford what you can afford, and you can't afford what you can't. And I'm not comfortable reaching into anyone else's pockets and pulling out more money than what I agreed to initially. And if that was the incorrect number, whoever came up with that number's responsible for that. But when we approve a certain amount, that's the amount that this council expects it to be held to. And it wasn't with the traffic circle, and to the tune of almost $2 million by the time we actually get shoveled to ground. No, I'm not comfortable with it personally. So I don't know where we go from here, but it's nowhere close to building. I can tell you that. Not at $2 million of strictly taxpayer money.
I mean, are you?
Go ahead.
I just don't want to.
No, you're good.
Okay, no, I'm just going to say, like, I can agree with you, but I look at it at its, cost of inflation and things of that. I'm not saying the cost what they came up with the town's correct, but one of the potential problems that I see is we have a bond out there that unfortunately we're paying for already. We raise taxes, as council agreed to. I know it's potentially based on something, but if we don't move forward, we're still paying interest. We're still paying the bond, and the bond can't be canceled, can't be removed. We're on the hook for it, so we're basically getting we're on the hook for $4 million of debt for nothing, basically. And the problem is, it can't be transferred to any other project. It's not like, hey, let's put it to $4 million related to a community center up there or on land that we already own. So therefore, we delay. We're paying interest on a bond, or we're paying off a bond or a loan, basically, that we've raised taxes for. And as we wait to try and do a smaller building, the costs go up. So unfortunately, I get what you're saying, that we need $2 million reaching reserves or whatever else, but the fixed cost of the general fund is, whatever, not the general fund, the bond is, I'm just pulling out like 4.5.
It's 4.5, exactly.
5, I mean, I'm just pulling that out, but I say 4.5, and cost for the building is going to go up and up and up. Approximately at 3.5, which I consider is probably a way conservative estimate based on construction related CPIs and things of that nature. And the reality of it is, will we get something that meets the needs in today's market or any future market for the price that we were told in 2021? My answer would be no. I mean, we've sacrificed things, and I'm not sure if we can ask them. I mean, we would like to ask them for another loan. Not another loan, another look-see, another option. And I'm not sure, every time I ride my motorcycle through Thurmont, they have what appears to me to be, I'm not sure of the size or anything else, or what they have in it, a pretty decent police station. So Thurmont, if Thurmont Council Mayor is looking, I'm giving you a compliment on that one. And I'm not sure if we've looked at it to do a comparison of a local police station, because I think their population is approximately close to ours, I believe, but their force is currently, I want to say, double our size, maybe. So we're talking something approximately 20 officers there. That the building looks okay. I'm not sure if it's meeting their current needs or if they're even considering adding on building or moving. But if we're going to ask the architects or the project managers to maybe take another look-see at something, I would recommend look at that, because it looks like to me, just driving by, mind you, that the interior space is okay. And it does have a drive-through sally port on it. So I'm not sure if it can be done, or I would like to say, okay, like you all call them up and say, hey, what's your square foot there? You know, say if it's 5,000, 6,000, whatever, might not meet our needs, does it still meet your needs? Maybe staff should have done it. And then just do a simple plug-in calculation with the cost estimates. I mean, simple, if we've got an estimate for what we want at 900, say $1,000 a square foot, or at 900, just to add up, we plug that in, because it's got exterior, it's got brick, it's got probably the construction materials for it. So at least look at that. Maybe a comparable. Sykesville's police station, no, it's an old converted house. It doesn't even meet, and they got five officers, no. Westminster's looks like a converted garage or block building, so that would probably not meet any modern standards. Tawny Towns is a converted train station, which probably would not, I think it's a converted train station. I might be incorrect on that. So again, it would not, bless you, meet current needs or anything. Then it would, like, I like the design because it can be added on easily at a lower cost than totally adding a building or add like a home renovation. It's ready to add on, which is a benefit. But I mean, I'm sensing resistance on it, but from the council, and I understand the resistance. I'm not saying it's bad resistance or anything else, but we also have to realize that maybe construction costs, the CPI, as you said, up and down, it might never level out. It might level out in 2 years, but it'll probably level out at a higher than what it was in 2021, no matter what. Prices never return. I'm sure any business owner here or a person that's in business says it's never going to return back to a level that it was when the original estimate was done. So I'm concerned that the longer we wait, actually the more money it's going to cost us in the long run for either what's proposed here, we lose officers, or it does not indicate the needs of this community. And selling the land, maybe, but that's not the deal we struck for our purchasing of the land.
So the one thing that I will say, like from the design side, I don't envy you on the financial side.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have no ability over there on that side. But from a design perspective, I think our goal at the end of the day is to be able to deliver you guys a set of drawings, hopefully get it through permitting, and that way, if you guys keep this land, however, then you would be able to build the building in the future if you then had the chance to acquire more funding. If we got it through permitting, then you guys would have a document set that you could then build later, and then once you had the funding, but you wouldn't have to incur the additional design fees of going through the process again. Now, I will caveat and say that however long you wait, it may change the space programming needs of the building. That may become a little bit obsolete, but you would at least have something that you could fall back on. If you get a bid back, for example, and you say, and it is $2-3 million over your estimated budget, then you wouldn't have to go back to square one.
Thank you.
That's right.
One thing.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
One thing I was going to say is I want to stop hearing 2021. We voted on these numbers within the last 12 months. Yes. This loan was not voted on in 2021. The amount of reserves was not voted on in 2021. We voted on 4.5 million and 1.55575 within the last 12 months. Why did we do that if that was nowhere near what it was going to be? It was to start this process and then think, like you're thinking, well, we're already in it for 4 million. Let's throw another 3 million at it because we're already here. That's not how I do business. That's not how I do it at my home, and that's not how I'm going to do it with other people's money. So what do we do with the 4.5 million? I don't know. We pay it, but I'm not going to double that just because you think we're stuck. We're not. And I'm not going to be hamstrung for another $3.5 million because we were put in front of us 2021 numbers that frankly everybody knew were BS. So I don't feel stuck. I feel fine. Because the fact is, if we would have known it was going to be close to $8 million, our 3% tax increase would have needed to be more. The amount of the DHCD loan that we got for $4.5 million would have had to have been more. So, no, we didn't put ourselves here. We were put here. And I'm not going to take more money out of people's pockets because of it. So I don't, that's my thoughts. I'm one person on this body, but I do not feel comfortable with any of this. And I don't like the fact that we talk about 2021 estimates when we voted on these numbers in 2025. And I don't know if anyone knew they weren't accurate, but this is what we were asked to do with taxpayer money. And we're talking about being $2 million short. I don't know about you guys, but if you throw that other $2 million on top of that, my vote would have been different. I'm not going to throw good money after bad just because we signed a loan. I don't feel stuck in any way, shape, or form. So I don't, like I said, somebody smarter than me needs to tell us where we go from here, but $8 million is not the answer.
So,
hang on one second.
okay, yes, sir, sorry.
I just wanted to point out that my stance and my feeling right now is based upon, this can't be explained by, this cost overrun can't be explained by inflation, or import costs. Because we're getting 28% less building without some of the important amenities we asked for. So you're starting in a 28% deficit and then adding 33% on top of the original estimate. So that's why I'm feeling the basis for this just wasn't solid. And that's where, if we can sit here in 2026 and say inflation, tariffs, what have you, but you can't explain this like that. The math doesn't work.
I feel like if these numbers were voted on in 2021, but nothing happened, that makes sense, right? Voted on, but stuff happened. We voted on these numbers within the last 8 months.
It's a 30% smaller building too, though. So we're getting less and paying more. So.
I mean, we were told it was going to cost X to get Y. And it was so grossly underfunded that if the actual numbers would have come out, 3% would have been known that it's not feasible for the tax increase to pay on what the actual loan probably should have been, or the amount of town reserves that we should have approved. That vote would have been different here. And it doesn't sit well with me being a part of this council that basically held this vote based on these numbers, and it's so far under, and then we're just expected to throw another $2 million at it. I love Chief Deffern, I love our police, but this isn't grant money. This is taxpayer working money. And yeah, I don't know where we go from here, but forward's probably not my suggestion.
Okay. Council President, oh, Mayor, sorry.
Hey, Carl, I'll be honest with you, man, you spoke a lot.
Okay, yeah, no, I just was going to ask you a question, that's it.
Yeah, so we brought Mosley in July of 2025 to go in there and figure out exactly what it was going to cost. And I remember our first meeting, and we walked into it with a lot of champagne taste, and we asked for everything. And it came back with a price tag of somewhere around, at one point, wasn't it 12?
I think it was just 10.
10?
10
So
to 11.
regardless, it was extremely high. It made me want to throw up. But,
Yes,
but
it was-
after
it was
that,
before escalation.
okay. So we started working the plan back from our champagne tastes. And we basically took it back to where we're at. And I'm not, I mean, the fact that the council is not happy with the cost, I get it, I'm not happy with the cost either. But having said that, what the balance is do you throw everything out, or do you take a look at it and figure out if there's any other adjustments that can be made, and then you factor in, is it fiscally responsible to keep kicking this can? Because, it was in 2022 that the council came to me and said, we need to build a police station, and I agreed with it. We needed to build a police station. The numbers are what the numbers are for this plan. Doesn't mean that there can't be a different plan, but where we're at right now is at a point where it's obvious that the council is not happy with the product that we have here, although Mosley has done a good job working with, with the base plan that we started with. But, I think we just need to regroup and figure out what can be done after this, and then, come back again. But, I'm not, I get it. If I were sitting as a council member, I'd be looking at this plan too. But as the executive, you guys asked me to put together a plan. This is our plan, and unfortunately, it came in over budget.
I think, I want to be clear, it's not the building, it's not, you are very, very good
Understood.
at your job.
No, understood. We understand.
I understand I'm a little shell-shocked that I'm trying to.
No,
stay
no.
calm while also being.
You should have seen us last January when we got the first estimate. We were shell shocked too.
Well, I know we had you on the agenda a couple times, and we just kept pushing it back
No.
to try and trim it down. So that's what I'm saying.
Your surprise is warranted.
It has nothing to do with the plan. It has nothing to do, honestly, with the numbers, right? Things cost what they cost. Money is factual. It's not emotional. That's why I like it. They are what they are. They cost what they cost. Where I am coming with this emotion is the fact that what we were told and what we voted on, we trusted and we went with, and we shouldn't have. Because if, maybe it's on me, if I would have done due diligence and looked into, hey, is this really possible for a $4.5 million loan plus 1.55? No. Then I would have been smarter to say, no, these numbers aren't even close. So what are we doing? And that's where my frustration, it has nothing to do with the building, with your work. It has to do with the fact that we were put in this position. And we did it trusting what the numbers were going to be, and they're not even close. And like I said, I'm not going to, personally, this council is obviously, like I said, on one vote. I'm not going to feel stuck to the point of making a bad financial decision for this town just because we have taken one step towards it. Have to figure out what to do from there. But me personally, I'm not going to speak for everyone else. That's where honestly, I'm angry, to be blunt. Because these numbers are so far egregiously, it's almost like they were put in front of us to get a yes vote, to get us here, and then to say, well, we're here, we just need to keep moving forward. No, we don't. And if I have anything to do with it, we won't. So it has nothing to do with you as a company, but it has to do with the people that live in this town and the fact that we're responsible for their money. And this needs to be better. I'm done.
Council President. Council President, a quick comment. So I remember having, I think it was Chief Ginevra, you might have said this in an open meeting, or I know we had a conversation and we were talking about the police station, and I think you said once that the police officer's office is really their car. I mean, and we well-equipped our officers with all the equipment they need, the cruisers they need. But point of fact, they spend the majority of their time on duty in their vehicle patrolling. So I want to go back to what I said in my initial comments. I think we need to look at a different option that is scaled down. Maybe we don't need the office space that's in this plan because the officers aren't sitting there in that building all day, every day doing their job. They're not there that often, I don't believe, okay? So that's one point. I echo Council President's comments. I'm disappointed because when did we raise taxes? Was that 23 or 24? You remember? Anybody?
The 3% increase?
Yeah.
I want to say it was 20.
23, 24.
Yeah. So my frustration.
July of 24.
So this is the frustration, is when we put out a tax increase, I would have thought that the tax increase would be based on the best and most current information, not 2021 estimates. Hopefully you would have re-estimated, this whole cost of living inflation. That should have been factored into the tax increase so that we had the revenue coming in from the increase. Then last May, when we took a vote on the project, again, I would have thought the executive branch would have said, okay, it's May of 2025. Do we need to update what this project is going to cost? And apparently not so much, because we were presented with the $6 million total project budget. So I share the frustration of we based our decisions on what's being put in front of us. And I think that's what we all did. So I would not support this moving forward. I think we need to look at other options. We need to look at a smaller footprints and even think about what the priorities are in the building. I know we love the idea of a community room, but is that really what's most important to the citizens? This building is going to be built in a residential area in a townhouse community. If I was a resident in that area, I'd care more about a secure sally port where suspects would be coming in a controlled environment within the building, not in a fenced location. So I put myself in the position of one of those residents. And last quick point, this cost estimate moving forward of 3.5%, I think that's low. The design team, I think Danielle, you even suggested on one of the calls that should be more like 4%. I read that Social Security COLA increases might be 3.8% next year. So I think the 3.5%, we're going to be disappointed again because I don't think we're anticipating the inflation costs that are coming. We're lowballing that even now. So there you go.
One quick question. I did see an email, and I think it was from Danielle, that there was an option that was kind of within our budget, but I didn't see like the design of what that was.
Okay.
And like I said, I want to figure something out because where the police are currently located is not sufficient. That's evident. But I want to figure something out that we can afford.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you want what you want, you can afford what you can afford. Those are two different things. So I was very surprised, but also like excited that there was an option that could fit into our budget.
It will come in still high, but it will not be as high. It will come in probably, I would say, under. You're challenging my memory. This was January.
I wouldn't hold you to it. All I know is it wouldn't come in at $8 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can speak that too.
Sure.
Councilman Miller, you referenced that as well. We did, basically, we had a target square footage, and I forget what it was, 5,000, 5,500?
5,500. We came in at 6 with getting all of the program components in, but shrinking all of the rooms.
So the base bid that we showed you today was how much?
Under.
600? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really only a little smaller than the base bid that we had. And we took a look at it as a team, and we basically felt that we had to shave some things down, and I don't have the plan in front of me, to the point where they weren't really functional. So we added a little bit of square footage back in. So, I mean, we are absolutely willing to explore all possibilities. I think the plan that we were talking about was probably would still be higher than, the $6 million. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, the alternative design you provided on January 14th also included a community room. It also included the community rooms.
I don't know if at that point we were anticipating the community room would be paid for an alternative means.
Actually, well, I'm just saying, I have all the emails, we can talk later, but that included,
Yeah.
and the vibe from both of you on the calls was you thought that would probably fit within the 5 million budget. My point is, I think we need to look at an alternative option and see what that looks like and see if it will actually, may not be our wants, but it may meet our needs based on what we told the community. Because again, the officers work in their vehicles. They don't work in the building. So the building needs to have some core functionality, but maybe not all the office space that we would love to have. I mean, my constituents sit at their kitchen table and make budget decisions every day on their personal lives, on what they can and can't afford. And I feel obligated to do the same, representing them in their government. And this is just too high. So, thank you.
Yes, and just,
That would be one thing I would say is instead of just walking away completely, that email did give me some hope that we still might be able to do something. What that is, I don't know, but I would
Yeah.
love to see what it is. And I look at it like it's a starter home, right? Nobody buys their dream home when they first do it. But having the ability to build onto that starter home in the future, and not, and plan for it. So it might be a slow tax increase over the course of a couple years, right, to fund it. It could be any way of whoever's sitting up here that's comfortable budgeting that out. But if, my goal as a council member has always been to at least get shovel to dirt to get the police department taken care of, because it should have been done a long time ago. And everybody else didn't want to raise taxes and everybody else didn't. We did that. We did the hard stuff. And now we're being told that it's not even close to what it was. So that's the frustration, is that we took the arrows in the back for being the first ones to raise taxes in almost 15 years. And we did it for basically nothing. And so if there is an option that we can even look at, I would love to see it. But again, this is not on Mosley, the company. I need
yes, no,
I wanna keep re-
we're here to help, not pick your pockets.
Yes, no, I understand.
Council,
Mayor,
I'll let the
yes.
mayor, I just got one question to ask of you, when we're done, just as a potential starting point moving forward.
Just one major thing, and without looking too far back, but in ordinance 2230 was presented for the police department. It didn't pass, but at that time, Councilmember Demoter, you were trying to get 2 million added over to the budget for the police station. So obviously you considered it a priority. Tonight is the first night I have ever heard you say that the police officers, because they spend time in their car, they don't need an adequate facility.
I didn't say they didn't need an adequate facility.
You said they don't need.
They may not need this building.
Yeah. Well, I just think that the fact that you were willing to throw $2 million at it a few years ago, and now you're upset at what we presented, there's a little bit of hypocrisy in there.
If I can respond, I think I wanted to take some money out of the reserves. I don't recall it being 2 million, but there was strong pushback that we shouldn't be taking any money out of reserves. So that's a point of clarification. Again, I think I said all the points about the tax increase. The upsetting thing is we are where we are because some of the actions the tax increase and then the rollout of the project did not really present real-world estimates. Everything was based off a 21 estimate, so.
Well, you were involved almost every step of the way.
And every step of the way on every call, what did I say, design team? This budget is too high. We need to get the budget down. You're going over what we told the community. Thank you.
Carl, would you?
Okay, yes, sir. It sounds like we all want them to look at that option that none of us have seen, a smaller option. moving forward. Realistically, of what we've heard tonight is that no matter what budget we were given in the past, 2025 or whatever, it's, at this point in time, it's not achievable for that money, okay? So can we agree on that moving forward, that say that we have some form of new base budget line for them to work on that's more realistic, instead of using an older number that we kind of all agree on that is not realistic. That way we can have that to start off with. And at the same time, have the mayor and staff present other funding options outside of grants that we can take a look at to least cover to the new potential low-end budget of it. And potentially have them, when they're looking at it, contact Thermont or have our town staff or someone. I don't want to put the onerous or whatever on you all, but someone contact the town of Thermont and ask some basic questions related to their police station, size. I know their force is double ours easily. And does it meet their current needs? Does it meet, what are the average sizes and stuff? Because it looks okay. As I said, it does have brick materials, it does have that. But then again, it might have been built 15 years ago. But let's see a town that is comparable size, locally enough where they would see the same type of crimes that we have. Same size, almost like an apple-to-apple comparison, to see if we are on the right track for sizes and stuff. As I said, I kind of agree with the council president. I don't want to move forward. Maybe I looked at it a little bit differently, indicating that, yeah, the cost was the cost at that time. I'm expecting it won't be coming in. There will be some overage just due to time. Maybe I wasn't expecting that much, but I'm willing to say, okay, we've got something, let's move ahead. I don't want to throw that we've done a $4 million loan right now, that we can't do anything, but yet at the same time, we're paying it off slowly. We still want to move ahead with a police station, so it's not lost per se in the long run. But no matter what, we need to move it forward, because I agree with the mayor and the town and the council president that should have been done a long time ago. This should have been instituted 2015 when we started the police force. Maybe not the design and construction of it, but at least money being set away. And we are currently now paying for previous council's mistakes in that area. So I'm done. I'm not saying, but that's what I'm offering, like at least a step forward, that when we come back, when they propose something, we're not like throwing an old number or budget at it. So I'm not sure if that's good, bad. You guys are the financial.
You can throw out a resolution if you'd like, but no, my number is 6 million because that's what I voted on. And not 6 million in one.
Okay.
It is 6 million because that's what I was voting on. No one at this table, maybe outside of the mayor, is suited to throw around taxpayer dollar numbers for a building. And I'm not even going to step into that realm. We've already made one mistake, and I'm not going to double that up by making two. So, no, the number is 6 million. And until another number that's realistic comes to this table with a plan of how to access that number, and to do it with a realistic building in mind, with a realistic cost, the number stays 6 million, because that's what we were presented and that's what we agreed to. And I don't personally feel like we need to spend more. And if we do, then we need to figure out how we're going to get it. But just throwing around numbers to throw around numbers to move forward, to me, that's not responsible. And I don't think we're suited or smart enough to do so.
I was just throwing it out
So,
there as a compromise.
you know, from where I'm sitting, I would like to see that other plan if it even comes somewhere close. You know, I think we can go ahead and probably move on from our presentations portion of the agenda. Did you have,
Just a quick comment.
Oh, thanks, yeah.
if you want to, you just come up and just state your name and,
Frank Potapan, I'm the developer for Green Tree. I've sold the property to the town, as council and mayor are aware, and staff. One thing I would comment, and I agree with you, spending other people's money is, no one wants to do that. The one thing when I look at, and again, I have a residential background, so pardon my somewhat ignorance on the commercial side, but the site plan that we presented in our pattern book that was approved by the planning commission and the council has all seen was basically a two-story structure. Think of it like a house. Lower level was a walkout, had a main level, a basement underneath that was serviced by, because the grade's fallen away. Was it ever looked at or contemplated building something that's, say, 3,500 square feet on the first floor? The lower level takes care of some of the programming areas like storage. Storage doesn't necessarily need to be on the first floor. The locker rooms I would think, could be on the lower level. So the offices and the administrative and the team room be on that 3,500 square foot area. The other stuff goes to the basement, and you could probably still have your, is it the Sullyport? Sallyport, figured into that situation. And I don't know if you guys ever contemplated that or not, but the grades allow that to occur because of the way, and again, from our pattern book, it shows that that grade falling away. The only other thing I will say, and I understand 2021 to 2025 is a big change, and staff gave, and I'll call it a guesstimate, not an estimate, because they didn't have a plan to look at and say, okay, this is what things are actually going to cost. The other thing, too, to keep in mind, from that time to now, in 2022 and 2023, our inflation rate nationally was 7 to 9%. So when I bought building materials in 2022, the lumberyard, when they called a supplier or mill and asked for a price on material, normally they get a price the day it leaves the yard. Back then, the price didn't go into effect till it hit the yard. So the 4 days, the 5 days, the week it took to go from Oregon to Maryland, that's when it got billed, when the material hit Maryland, not when it left Oregon. So just some defense to the staff on that component. So our industry's seen huge changes in the past, since COVID in pricing. So that's all I'd like to say.
thank you, sir.
Yep.
So I think we can probably close this out real quick and just say, I don't know if the council feels comfortable adding another 2 million, because I'll be honest, I don't think 2027 is probably feasible. So I'm going to go worst case scenario with budgeting. I would always like to have your expenses at the very high level and your income at the very low, and it should come in better than what you planned for, so everyone's happy. So I think I will use the 2028 just to be comfortable. So you're looking at another $2 million. I'm not comfortable with it. But I don't want to just completely walk away. So that email gives me some hope that maybe next month or whenever you're comfortable, we can look at something that might be feasible with the numbers that we agreed to, or at least something that's close to the numbers that we agreed to. But again, this building was great, right? If we could afford it, we would. Yeah. But I don't think that we can. So. Okay.
Yeah, we can put our pencils
Thank you, guys.
to paper.
Sorry to keep you for so long.
Yeah,
Thank you,
for
guys.
indulging
Thank you guys for
me
your
on my
time.
comments, Council President.
Good.
Thanks.
Move on to the latest public comment we've ever had. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak? Yes. Okay. If you could, please just come up to the podium, state your name and your address for the record.
Excuse me, I gotta get my reading glasses. My old age. So before I start, I wanted to just mention that the mayor did not put me up to this. I'm here on my own volition. I'm willing to swear in a stack of Bibles. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members, and honored guests. My name is Theodore Stathis. I live at 603 Buffalo Road in our town. I'd like to share with you an email I wrote recently to Mayor Hushhour. Quote, Larry, I just finished writing the minutes of the S&R meeting in March. In them, there's an item about the progress of the traffic circle. It is OBE now since the traffic circle has been completed. I just wanted to express my real sympathy to you and to your staff for the negative comments you endured during this project. Most of this was unprofessional, discourteous, and totally unnecessary. The result of this behavior was that there was no celebratory event to commence the operation of the traffic circle. I find that very disappointing. But I understand your sentiment, and I can't blame you. I come from a generation not too far from yours where, despite our differences, we managed to get along without bitterness and discord. Yes, I think we should have a celebration, despite the naysayers. I drove through the circle several times in a 29-foot RV towing my Jeep and had no problems whatsoever. Thank you. The markings are clear. The roadway surface is smooth. It's all good. Kudos to those who had the bright idea to erect the two signs with the town's name as you come into the traffic circle. Anyway, I feel better now, and I do, now that I got this off my chest. I know, especially after sitting through a 2-hour meeting here, that you have a lot more to worry about than what I have to say about having a celebration about the traffic circle. However, I am saddened by the undeserved comments I see on social media nowadays about the town and its staff. I think they deserve better. Allow me to close with this thought, council members. Please consider hosting a celebratory event in recognition of all who helped make this happen. Town staff, engineers, I'm one of them, the construction and traffic management crews, and everyone else who had something to do with this wonderful project. Let me suggest a nice, huge round cake in the shape of our first traffic circle with all the roadway signs and markings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
That was well needed. Thanks, Ted.
Best public comment we've ever had. Anyone else wish to speak?
Good evening, council members. My name is Emily Benecase. My husband Kevin and I own 1904 South Main Street. It's nice to see you all again. I'm here to speak in support of Ordinance 2026-02 because the legislation is simple, common sense, and directly responds to the issue it was created to address. The master plan process resulted in unnecessary expenditures in time, personnel, and taxpayer money due to negligence at best and outright dishonesty at worst. The root of the problem is lack of documentation for rezoning requests and resident interactions, as well as making decisions based on hearsay. The statement that the residents of South Main Street overwhelmingly wish to rezone our properties had far-reaching consequences. Since we've already beat that dead horse quite enough, I would like to focus on the financial cost to Mount Airy taxpayers. The roundabout at the top of South Main Street was planned with the expectation that the many businesses that would move into the area where our houses stand would reimburse the town for their traffic needs. Mr. Council President, at the last council meeting, you said that the second lane in that traffic circle was only added because of the expected commercial traffic needs. And that easily cost Mount Airy taxpayers several $100,000, even if a one-lane roundabout was planned no matter what. As we've noted even tonight, the council continuously has budgetary concerns. And at a total cost of nearly $2.7 million, and none of the expected $835,000 in reimbursement from future development that will not exist, this was an awfully expensive mistake that taxpayers are now holding the bill for. I am personally, well, excuse me. Yeah, in keeping with the theme of the night, if this doesn't teach the hard lesson of trust but verify, I'm not sure what will. You were told a majority of residents wanted to be rezoned. You believed and relied upon that, and it was not true. Adopting this legislation assures residents of transparency and accountability, and the town will have documented proof that of the information that it's basing its decisions on. Furthermore, this legislation codifies a requirement that the town explains why a decision was made on rezoning. As a non-commissioned officer in the Army, the most important thing that I did as a leader was to tell my soldiers why I was doing something. And I continuously ask that my senior leadership do the same for me. This is because people will almost always accept a well-thought-out decision, even if they don't like it or they would have done things differently themselves. You will gain more public support for future decisions if you can simply explain the logic behind them, and this legislation requires that. Finally, this legislation is ineffective as a town staff policy because that would exclude the unpaid volunteers on the Planning Commission from the requirements. While Mr. Breeding is a town staff member, he was not the only person claiming he spoke to residents about rezoning decisions. I therefore ask for your full support of Ordinance 2026-2, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? All right, we'll move on from public comment. We do not have any speakers, so we'll move right into approval of council meeting minutes and closed minutes. First up, we have May 2026 Town Council meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of approving the Town Council minutes from 2026, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next up, May 2026 public hearing minutes for ordinance 2026-6 to set tax rates for fiscal year 2026-27. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the public hearing minutes for ordinance 2026-6, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And then May 2026 public hearing minutes, ordinance 2026-7 to adopt the budget for fiscal year 26-27. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please, of public hearing minutes for ordinance 2026-7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Lastly, we have May 2026 closed meeting minutes. First one, subject matter of litigation. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving closed meeting minutes for May 2026 under litigation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And lastly, closed meeting minutes, May 2026 for land acquisition. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of approving closed meeting minutes for subject land acquisition, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. I don't see Hall of Famer Matt Hurd in the audience, so we're going to skip the volunteer fire company report. I'll move on to Chief Ginevra for the police report.
Good evening again. Calls for service, 639 calls for service for the month of May, a minor decrease of calls for service of May of 2025 of 641. Total traffic stops, 129, 80 citations, 223 warnings. For safety repair orders, 18, DUI arrest, 2, for a total of arrest of 23. For recruitment, 2 applicants have been interviewed for the current deputy chief position. On May 30th, 2 entry-level candidates participated in our written and physical agility exam. Our K-9 deployment, Officer Edwards and his partner Paisley, continue with their monthly K-9 certifications and training. They both conducted 5 scans and 1 track. Those resulted in still ongoing investigations. Officer DeAngelis and his partner Yuri still obtaining their monthly certifications and training, and Officer DeAngelis and Yuri conducted 1 scan. I will note for a noteworthy, I did include it in your packet, that There was an incident that took place here in the town resulting in some gold bars, $130,000 to about $140,000 that Officer Everts and other members of the Mount Airy Police Department have investigated. Those gold bars, and that is correct, gold bars have been recovered in Pennsylvania, and officers from the Mount Airy Police Department will be going to Pennsylvania to recover those gold bars. So that investigation is still open and pending. That will be my report.
If you need to drop them off, I can give you my address. Thank you very much, Chief. Do you need to head to the carnival? I know.
Yes,
Yeah,
do you mind if?
absolutely
sir,
not.
If I'm excused?
No, and I'm sorry that we kept you longer than.
No, that's quite all right, and guys been checking on me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
No, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so in the interest of time, and we do have some other stuff, I wanted to see if the council's okay if we just do a mayor report, our attorney report, and then if we can double up next month with our reports, if you guys are okay with that. I think we need to kind of.
Yeah, I just would like to do a public service announcement for One in Streets and Roads. Just more, I think it would be better this month than next month.
Okay.
It just,
Let
oh,
let
yeah,
them go, and then you
yeah,
can.
yeah,
finish up. Is
just other than
everybody
that,
else
I'll
okay
do the
with that?
report.
I don't want to be here too
Yeah.
late,
I'm good.
conducting business. We shouldn't be tired and talk about some of the stuff we need to talk about.
I'm good with it, Council President. Just-
Mayor report, go ahead.
Just go through two quickies. Number one, all the new banners are up on Main Street, thanks to Public Works and Gina Galucci-White for working on the staff with that, and then the volunteer group that got together and put all those banners out there. So I really appreciate that. And the other thing is Lions Club Community Carnival is going on. It's supposed to have good weather all week, so please go to the carnival and support that.
Town attorney.
Sure. First of all, the Mount Airy Apartments property that we're acquiring for expansion of the water treatment plant facility is due to close on June 16, so we'll soon acquire that. No decision yet from the Appellate Court of Maryland on the Pleasance litigation. Worked on the reclassification ordinance as well as the mobile food unit ordinance on the agenda tonight, otherwise provided general advice.
All right, thank you very much. We do have copies of the town administrator report, code enforcement, and zoning administrator. Jared, I think you're the only one here. Do you have anything to add to your report?
For the sake of time, not tonight. Do you guys have any questions?
Okay, all right, thank you so much. And thank you, council, for understanding. Did you have one quick thing?
Yeah, quick thing is, during the Public Streets and Roads Commission, we discussed that school's out for summer, so please slow down since school's out. There'll be more kids outside playing, riding their bikes, and things of that nature. And also reminder to the parents and children that are riding the electric bikes, the e-scooters, and the e-motorcycles around town, that while you're out there riding, you must follow the rules of the road. That's including all safety. And please remember that a bike helmet only protects up to a certain speed. So the faster you go on something, the better head protection you need. So no matter what, just be safe out there and follow the rules of the road. We don't want it to happen here, the same thing that happened down in Ocean City when 2 kids were seriously injured or killed recently due to electric dirt bike riding. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to go on to new business now. First up, just a quick reminder, Annexation Resolution 2025-47. We do have a public hearing scheduled for Wednesday, June 10th at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. So public hearing for Annexation Resolution 2025-47 will be June 10th here at Town Hall at 7 p.m. Next up, we have a road closure for the American Spirit Parade, Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This will go from Mount Airy Elementary School down Main Street to Park Avenue, cross 27, and end at the Carnival grounds. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yeah,
This pretty much happens every year, so it's pretty well known. So no discussion, I'll go ahead and move on. All in favor of approving the road closure for the American Spirit Parade on Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. from Mount Airy Elementary School down Main Street to Park Ave, cross 27 and end at the Carnival grounds, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next up, road closure for Celebrate Mount Airy, Saturday, August 29th, 2026, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Main Street from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Once again, this is something that pretty much happens every year. So all in favor of the road closure for Celebrate Mount Airy, Saturday, August 29, 2026, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., Main Street from Prospect Road to Paradise Ave, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Next up, we have a recommendation for approval to purchase a Bobcat mini truck loader. It's MT 120. What we are going to do, though, is come back to this after we adopt ordinance 2026-13. So we will come back to that, but we must first adopt that ordinance. Next up, we have commission appointments and reappointments with Mayor Hushhour.
No reappointments this year.
All right.
Council President, I know I have it noted on mine, but when we discuss 2026-13, I do have one comment related to it, just to make adjustment maybe once we all said and done with it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
when we get there, that's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
All right, next up, we're at ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2026-10, this is our water resources element. This is for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes, I have a couple of quick comments. The resolution, in one of the whereas statements, it says the town of Mount Airy has determined the adoption of the WRE of the Carroll County Master Plan will serve to promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of the town. I'm not in support of the WRE element because I don't believe that the town, I know we're working at it, but I don't believe the town has practiced proactive stewardship regarding water capacity yield and water capacity supply and the development of water capacity management plans that are required by the MDE. And you can reference back to the last two council meetings on that. And that's one of the reasons. The second reason that I won't be supporting this is looking at it from a Carroll County perspective. If you look at the WRE, 7 of the 8 designated growth areas and all the other municipalities within Carroll County have a deficit. They will not be able to build out their towns given the water that they have now. They have major deficits. And it looks like the approach that most towns are going to take, Westminster is going to be different, but many of these towns, like Mount Airy, I believe, are relying on the what is it, the Brinkman bill, the Brinkley bill. And that bill basically, just long story short, in so many words, it's basically taking water credits, if you will, from rural property owners and farmers and kind of using those credits to allocate to municipalities. So you're setting up a confrontation where you may be decreasing rural-owned property owners' values and impacting farmers and other things. So I'm not in favor of the overall approach of using the Brinkley bill to solve these problems. And even MDE says it may be good for some towns, but not all towns. So for those reasons, I'll be voting no on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we have a motion for adoption for Resolution 2026-10, Water Resource Element. All in favor of adopting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Now we have Resolution 2026-12 to allow alcohol at Celebrate Mount Airy, Saturday, August 29th, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of adopting Resolution 2026-12 to allow alcohol at Celebrate Mount Airy, Saturday, August 29th, from 5 to 8 p.m., please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have Ordinance 2026-2, Standards and Process for Rezoning Properties. This is for adoption. I'll open up the table for a motion.
I would like to make a motion to adopt with amendments ordinance 2026-2 for establishing a process and standards for rezoning of properties.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, we are in the discussion portion. Any discussion? I'll open the table.
So if I may, just to give a quick recap here. So the purpose of this ordinance is to prescribe the criteria, procedures, and comprehensive documentation requirements that applied to all applications for the reclassification of property within the town's jurisdiction, to ensure that every reclassification request is reviewed with transparency, precision, and accountability to adopted public policy. And a little bit about the development of this ordinance. We started work on this in late fall of last year, working with the town attorney. It's been a collaborative and coordinated approach. I attended all of the Planning Commission meetings where this ordinance was discussed. I believe the Planning Commission offered somewhere around 40 comments, and the town attorney and I diligently went through every one of those comments, and where we thought those comments would make improvements to the document, we've incorporated those into a revised version. And we worked very hard to take a revised version then back to the Planning Commission, just to show them that we were listening to their comments. At that time, when the commission made a recommendation, they were making a recommendation on the original ordinance as introduced. So they weren't looking at the benefits of all of those collaborative changes that we made, listening to their comments. And then I collaborated and coordinated with my fellow council members, and the amendments, there's only a few of them, and they're in the red line version. And I appreciate the comments I've received from all the council members. And this red line version is basically responsive to a council member's requests for some of these changes. So if you'd like, Council President, I can quickly walk you through some of these red lines if you need me to do that.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I mean, you don't have to.
Okay.
I mean, everyone reviewed it, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're, again, the comments were helpful, and they've continually added to the clarity of the document, and I appreciate the comments that were provided. And I think we were responsive to all of the comments that were offered, so I thank you for those.
All right, I'll open up the floor.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Councilman DeMiller. Thank you for including me and all of us in all the collaboration, the comments, listening, and thank you for the revisions that the red lines, I think, are basically what we had talked about in an effort to smooth out some of the language, again, in hearing the Planning Commission's comments, and make it a little less prescriptive, which is one of my concerns. I just want to add that I wish we didn't need this. I've read the policy. I think the policy is 80 to 90% of this document. And I think, again, I wish you didn't need to do it. I think we need to codify something in there because coming, through the master plan process as a citizen and as a council member, we can't do that again. There was too much confusion, angst in the community, angst on the council, and I think the aim is basically to smooth that out. So those are my comments, and thank you, Councilman DeMotor, for the efforts here.
I kind of echo Councilmember Kelly. Thank you for kind of streamlining this and getting it in front of us as part of the master plan process with Commissioner Gant and those guys. If we had this back then, it would have made the job easier. And I do understand that there are policies and so on and so forth, but that's not to be said that that policy could change down the road after you're long gone, or you're long gone, or you're long gone. Putting it as an ordinance, I think, kind of gives us that credibility and stableness that we need. So, thank you.
Council President, and before I say anything, first off, I appreciate that at least Councilman DeMotor reached out to a couple of you all for collaboration. I was never contacted. This never included any of my comments whatsoever related to this. So kudos that at least you all had the opportunity for them to take in your consideration and thoughts on this ordinance, but not mine. So the first problem with this ordinance is that I do agree with you two that we do need something in code to at least a basic set of requirements. And unbeknownst to me, I knew they were talking about the code, about the policy. Sorry, I get the policy. I was not aware that there was a standard, well documented. I did scan through it. I think the policy might be better than this, unfortunately, because as currently written, it really tells the mayor how to run town staff. The council dictates to the mayor, the staff, the quasi-legal planning commission how to do something, how to review, how to make determinations, how they need to review something. And the rezoning cases happen once every 10 years or infrequently between that, maybe once or twice. So having something rigid might not be a good idea because over 10 years, it can change. The things that we need to look at might not become important. The town staff needs flexibility to say yay and to say nay. If this is in place, it could potentially tie future hands. Again, I'm not saying something's not needed, it just might not be this thing. I'm concerned that as currently drafted, it is an overreach towards the application process. Because right now, it requires an applicant to tell or reveal the intended purpose of their land. That is not really the purpose of zoning, for an applicant to tell, I'm going to put this specific structure or business there. It is basically related to, I want to say, a variety of uses that could be placed there. That's what the rezoning is. If an applicant so divulges that information later, okay, it's fair game from that. But during an application, the town should not be requiring an applicant to state what they're going to do. Because sometimes, say like what Twin Arch Business was, it was agriculture. It was rezoned industrial, and it took over 15 years to fill in. So if it was required to say, yeah, I'm going to do this is going to be this business, the developer is not going to know. It just allows for a cadre of businesses to potentially go in there. And specifically, I would really, now I'll scratch that out. And the problem is, we heard earlier that this was a drain financially on the town. Well, if it's put into code, it could be even a worse financial drain on the town because there's no mention of who pays for this expanded review criteria listed in there. Because it says shall be do this, shall review it this, shall be based on this. And while I love the town staff, they can do something, no one's an expert on everything that's listed here to review because specific businesses, it impacts things differently. Related to, like, computer manufacturing or something might be different than a professional consulting. Might be allowed in the same use, but yet here we're supposed to decide on a business. So it could be $100,000 for an applicant for us to review the cost of it easily if we are required to determine certain criteria and impacts on each and every criteria listed in a zone or potential use. And this is what I took some of most offense is, it tells the council how to do their jobs, how to review something, how to think. We're presuming, this document's presuming anyone that gets elected is not going to do their job. And I reviewed stuff. I looked at all possible opportunities. Some people might not agree with it, but I do my job. And I take offense being stated in code exactly how to do my job. And it tells the council and staff and the mayor how to do theirs. And here's another big problem. All the criteria to make the determinations on zoning are highly ambiguous and subjective to personal interpretation. I could see something differently than impact on the community differently than planning commission, another councilman, staff. So that is problematic. That adds more friction to the process than that. Again, it is a rezoning of potential uses, not a specific. Will require the town to create documents that is concerning that could be used against the town during a lawsuit or other legal actions that thus, I want to say it's too rigid and flexible. It forces the town to create a document that someone could use against us if they're not happy with our decision. I get it, this happens now, but it also could potentially hurt us in the defense of something going forward. Again, it's too rigid, not flexible enough for rezoning. This is not a site planning process. That comes later. That is when a lot of these criteria should be included into the documentation of site plans. Throughout this whole rezoning process, for the Beck and stuff, one of the biggest things was it's out of order. It's out of order for a site plan. Okay, that's fine. Then put these criteria into site planning, not for the rezoning. As I said, the ordinance is written to create distrust between branches of town government and the quasi-legal independent commission. Who's better at it? When the council formed the planning commission in years past, it gave up some of its review authority and entrusted that to the planning commission, whoever's on it. So we're trying to take control back from something in my view, from a quasi-legal independent agency to try and predetermine an outcome that we may or may not like, or some people may or may not like. Again, I'm not saying something shouldn't be in it, in code to do it, just not this. As I said, it's like I think Councilman Kelly said during the recent master plan process, and one of the people that spoke on South Main said there was problems with the recent master plan process, and this could have helped. It may or may not might have made it worse. And I'm not saying the current master plan process was flawless. It wasn't. There was not hiccups in it. Does this fix the hiccups for planning? Probably not, in my view. I'm not saying, again, it's not the most recent, might not have had hiccups. The ordinance has some concepts that stop from this reoccurring, but both the town and the council is to blame for this, of the hiccups during it. I think we've taken, as a council, has taken some of the blame for it because we voted what I would classify out of order on some things during it. We voted zoning approvals before it was finalized, blah, blah, and that created the confusion. This does nothing to address that, to address what another council could do the same thing. It doesn't really solve the issue. Is it that the council should not really vote on a final version of the plan until everything else is settled for it? So it's just basically not a rubber stamp, I'm not saying, but okay, any zoning concerns are addressed prior to it. This does nothing. Therefore, I urge the rejection of this ordinance as currently drafted for the following reasons. It forces the will of the council upon the executive branch and the quasi-legal independent town government commission of the planning commission that must also follow state code on some things. So there's a question, therefore, does anything, are we enforcing there, violate current or future code? The way the master plan has been altered the process on the state level can address some of the things, and we may not want what's in the current master plan process from the state to be included in the future. So it changes over time. That's the point. We lock into something that may or may not work for us in the future. The biggest thing now is the implementation concerns related to the ability of town staff to do some of the things the ordinance requires of them to do it. As I said earlier, town staff is not an expert in everything. This ordinance says you need to look, review, include the decision. Why? Take into consideration of various things that nobody can be an expert on. The only way to be an expert is to hire an outside consulting firm to say it's good, bad, it does. What's the impact of water pollution, runoff, yada, yada, all this. So then the question again, who pays? Right now, the applicant pays a simple, I might be incorrect, but $300 or whatever the fee is. Might be off, it might be a couple hundred. That pays for the application to pay for staff time. All of a sudden, we're concerned with fiscal. This town staff could be spending 40 hours on one thing to say if it's good or bad. So the only way to do it, consultants don't come cheap. Who pays again? If we have one thing, it's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. We don't know the cost of it. So it opens, I don't think an applicant would pay $50,000 to have their thing reviewed by a consultant on it. Because most of these people that come do it are homeowners that apply for it. So are we, question that needs to be, are we placing an undue burden upon a homeowner or residents of the town? Said that. Still allows the council to vote the master plan, what I say, out of sequence, so it doesn't solve that. It is too rigid, does not provide flexibility in the approval process, especially for something that happens once every 10 years and frequently at other times throughout. Again, it allows for the creation of town documents that could be used for us and potentially hinder legal defense of something. So I could go on and provide more and more while this is not a good ordinance as drafted. If the council feels obligated to press ahead with the establishment of some form of criteria related to rezoning properties, I am more than willing to work with Councilmember Kelly and others and the Planning Commission and town staff to develop an ordinance that would, I've got 6 criteria that I think would cover a lot of the things that I saw that was problems with it and can solve it. And maybe it'd be a lot of the things that are in the policy that we like that can be set in code here. Set basic application requirements for it. Does not impose the will of council upon the mayor or town staff or the planning commission. It wouldn't do that. Ensure proper notification an application has been filed to surrounding landowners. Does not interfere with the powers of the planning commission or town staff to recommend the rezoning of properties during the master plan, either piecemeal or in hold. That was a problematic with South Main Street. It would ensure the rights of the property owner stays intact if the property was identified by the planning commission or town staff to be rezoned for whatever reason. It would provide them with proper notification that would just basically say, hey, your property has been identified for rezoning as part of the master plan process. And would allow them to either opt in or opt out of it. I haven't decided, that's for more of a discussion with it. So basically it's just saying nothing's final, it's not moving ahead, but hey, you've been identified that it could be potentially beneficial to the town or to you to do it. It's not saying it will be, it's just saying, hey, we did it, here's notification. If we don't hear anything back from you to say you want to be part of it, it's not moving forward. It's done. Nobody gets identified or told that when the blue sign appears on their front yard saying, hey, you've been rezoned or potentially rezoned. It still allows the property owner to say no. It almost always does. I want to say ensure that the rights of the property owner is not, and they makes the final decision prior to it moving forward. It doesn't get to the discussion phase. The property owner decides, yeah, we like it, we don't like it. It also allows them, what I want to say, one do-over. Like say for some reason, if a whole block is rezoned, this person wants a one holdout, but yet all the neighbors done it, then it potentially leaves that as a block of, surrounded by something. Well, if they choose to do it later, that original decision is not final. They can opt back in at a later date or before we start discussion or make anything final. And it would require that all matters related to the master plan, especially zoning, has been finally approved and decided upon a council before we do any final vote on the master plan. That was part of the problem. I saw we voted it one thing and then come back, we revisit it creates confusion. Is approved, not approved? So we don't need something that is rigid and flexible. We need to set a policy that the council, following councils can follow. Incorporate the basic set of requirements that I think the mayor has agreed upon, put into policy. It seems to be taking most of the things from the ordinance, from Councilman DeMota's ordinance in relation. It doesn't demean anything, still provides flexibility. The Planning Commission has said they looked at it, agree with it, gave kudos to that, to Councilman DeMota. So it's a way to move forward to protect the notification, set a policy that provides flexibility and allows the rezoning of properties to happen once every 10 years in a really non-contentious, because with all these requirements, it could take years to do. Someone could say, well, I find this, I find that. We're not experts to say property values are going to fall because of this decision, that, or I wasn't notified. Yeah, I'm not saying that people weren't notified properly. I would be mad as heck too if I came home and found a blue sign on it. What I'm proposing to move forward with is a much better ordinance, provides some protection or good protection, doesn't enforce our will upon the town. It takes it, it sets the basic thing of the, sorry, I'm touching, the basic thing of Chanel number 5 or policy 5 here that everybody seems to like so moving this point forward, we know what was done wrong. It's in code, but still someone can change the policy. At least we have a set of basic things in code, that general overall concepts, not specific, because specifics can change. And a lot of specifics here are more related to site planning, which falls under the purview of the Planning Commission. And it's a much better location for site planning because it doesn't interrupt property rights of owners. It says, hey, you need to provide certain things to the council or to the Planning Commission prior to getting the site plan, a more proper order. So if we want certain things impacted, it's the site plan. It can be specific to a site plan more so than general as what this ordinance does. I'm done. Sorry, Cal. I told you it was long. Sorry, but I know it's 10. Okay, I got it. I'm done. Sorry, Council President. I'm sorry.
Monica, how's your arm doing? Okay. All right, good. Good, that was a workout. So, first of all, I mean, the changes that were made, the amendments that were made were more semantics. So the Planning Commission rejected this, or recommended a disapproval of this ordinance in a 4-1 vote. So in my opinion, it's still the majority of the Planning Commission would not be happy with this ordinance, even with the amendments. Second of all, I do think it's overregulation on something that could easily be put in a policy and in fact has been put in a policy. I think it's overreach to the mayor as to how to manage the staff, and that's kind of where I'm coming from as a mayor. It gets to a point where it doesn't provide governments. What it does is it allows the council to tell the mayor to mandate something from the staff, and that's where I have a problem with it. And if it was such a good addition, why isn't it in the land use article? Why isn't it in the Carroll County planning documents? In fact, even the county, use as a policy to satisfy this. I think that overall, it is more of a micromanagement ordinance as opposed to a law that should be in the code for the town. And I do think that it should be voted down, and the policy should stay in there. There's things in the policy book that have been there since Monica Weyerbach was the town administrator. If it's good policy, it stays in there. And I think as a policy, we're where we need to be. I just don't think it needs to be in the code book.
All right, thank you. As usual, I'd go last. I'd like to hear everybody out. Carl, you kind of lost me there for a little while, but
I can refresh you if you
nope, nope. You're going to sit back and you're going to turn your mic off. Yeah, I was really digging into this, and every single time when I was swaying back and forth, I went back to that public hearing when the Planning Commission, after the Planning Commission voted to recommend rezoning, based on 2 times the chairman asked the zoning administrator, are you sure that the people at Extended South Main want this? And both times, I went back and watched the meeting today. Both times he was said, yes, we have no pushback, they want this. I have a feeling that if that answer was no, I'm not going to throw it out there, but I have a feeling that that vote probably would have gone a little differently. Nobody here can tell or nobody here knows, but the problem is that answer could not be verified. And if that answer could have been verified, we would have known, okay, they still want this to be rezoned even against the property owner's wishes. Or, no, the property owners don't want it. The Planning Commission is deciding that we do not want to rezone Extended South Main. And once we got past the approval or the recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission, then came a public hearing for the first time at the council side of things. And we had a line out that door of property owners wondering what in the heck is going on and why you're dictating what's going to happen to our property. And I was not comfortable with it then. I did not care what the master plan vote was. I was not going to change people's property against their wishes. That is the biggest investment you make in your life. And I'm not changing their property owner. I'm sorry, I'm not changing their property values. I'm not changing. I would be distraught if I had to come up here. And one lady was in tears with a brand new family, moved in 2 years ago. And she's going, what is going on? So I understand, and I have been heavily a proponent of governmental overreach and stuff, but I don't know if this reaches that benchmark. I think that the fact that this is not a everyday thing, it is not something that happens even every year. I don't see the overextension of town staff. The fact of the matter is, if rezoning is the most important thing that town government does, it can completely change the entire complexion of an entire community, which is why it goes through the process it goes through. But to make the process valid, you have to have factual, documented information. You cannot go off of unverified statements. And what we are codifying is factual, documented information of where a decision of full factual knowledge can be made. I firmly believe that the Planning Commission would have had a different outcome if they had these documents in front of them with the current residents that stated, no, we do not want this rezoned. That's just my opinion. It's not a fact. But I do know is I don't want anybody to ever be in the position that we were in again, looking at families begging us not to turn their homes into businesses. So I think that the fact that this only happens every so often outside of a 10-year master plan, I think the fact that it, doesn't take much to document exactly what needs to be documented. And to Carl's point, If we put ourselves in a position to where we can get sued because we're documenting facts, then that's on us. Document the truth and stand behind what you document. But rezoning property is the most important thing that any elected official or town entity can do, bar none. And I feel like after what happened and the experiences that we went through, I would not want that to happen to any other council. And to be honest, I wouldn't want it to happen to any other zoning administrator. You know, I don't believe that John did anything wrong. When they went through those public hearings, nobody came up and opposed it. So I understand what he's saying. I don't believe he was lying, and I don't believe, I disagree with our public comment that you know, it was a lie or even negligence. The option was there for those residents to come up and to speak against it when it was talked about. They did not. Don't know if they still live there and now we have new people. We don't know if their thoughts changed, but we don't know that because nothing was ever documented. We don't know that because we didn't go and speak to them directly. Do you want this or not? We assumed a no-show means everybody's good with it. Well, by the time you get down to the decision to be made, that assumption was incorrect. So you cannot, in my opinion, make assumptions when it comes to rezoning. You need to work off of fact. And again, I don't think that the planning commissions, and I talked to a few of them today, actually, I don't think that that decision would have been the same if they would have known what was coming 3 weeks later at that public hearing. So I don't want to overstep. I've actually voted down other ordinances because of overstepping. I don't think this goes that far. I do think that it does put forth a codified way of ensuring exactly what is going on, exactly what it is that the people want, so that the people that are charged to make that decision are going off of fact and not opinion. And then they make the best decision possible for the town. So those are my thoughts.
Just one little quick one.
And you're pushing me.
I'll just be a quick one. Just make sure.
30 seconds.
Okay, just make, as I said, some of the criteria that they are required to do are very subjective. People will never be happy, will never agree. And if we are not experts in the subject matter, where do we find it and who pays for that?
We have a zoning administrator that is an expert on zoning. Do we not? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that is the expert when it comes to rezoning.
Okay.
If you don't have the faith in our zoning administrator to be an expert on rezoning, why would we go and pay somebody else?
Well,
You then have a planning commission that you have full faith in, like you said, to then vet the zoning administrator to then come with the best possible recommendation set forth to us.
Okay.
Do you think that that happened on the extended South Main Street homes? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you think that that happened?
I wouldn't say.
The answer is no. I'm going to save you
Okay,
some
no,
time.
but.
So, nope.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
that's a fact. Our zoning administrator is paid what he is paid because he is the expert.
Okay,
So
but-
we're not going outside of anything. That is
But-
not what we're doing. If he can't do the things that are in this document,
Okay.
then I strongly suggest we look for a new zoning administrator. But
Well-
I have the full faith in John that he can.
Well, sir, I just want to say some of the criteria in here I could find is water resources, the impacts on water, surface water, air quality, this, roads, everything else. These have always been complaints throughout time related to the site planning process. I'm not saying zoning and specific uses in that can negatively or positively impact it, but what use? We're asking, this being required to see specific impacts related to something. One use that's under a zone, whatever zoning classification that is, can have a totally different impact than another use. So which one do we do the criteria for it
They're
if we're
asking-
doing a rezoning?
It's asking for a rationale of reclassification, a summary and documentation of the reasons provided for the applicant for seeking reclassification, including intended use, not this is the end-all be-all. It's intended use. For example, when Ms. Hatley came up and was talking to us about the rezoning of her property, she was telling us the intended use of the property and why she wanted it rezoned. That's what this is asking for.
It's a ten.
Now,
okay,
let me
sorry.
ask you this. With the MXD, we just went through that. Did we not go through water, how it was going to affect us? Did we not go through all of those things before we got to a site plan documentation? We did. It can be done. It should be done, because the fact of the matter is rezoning is the most important thing that this table can do.
Okay. But,
So I understand your concerns, but we're going to move on.
okay, I'm just concerned that we're setting
I said I
setting this
understood.
up.
We're going to
Okay.
move on. You
All
got a
right.
lot of
Sorry,
time.
sir.
If you didn't get your stuff out
Yes,
in that
sir.
amount of time, then I apologize.
Thank you, sir. No
So,
problem.
again, this is not anything against town staff. In fact, I think it protects town staff. I think that if John had the documentation, then nobody could have come after him for misspeaking or assuming or anything. This should protect the people that we trust to tell us what is going on. And nothing protects you more than the documentation and the wants and the needs of the homeowner. Mr. Gant?
I appreciate the time. And I'm not going to argue for it or against it. I just want to make something clear. In the Maryland land use, there are two types of rezoning. There's piecemeal rezoning, and that's usually a landowner who now wants to rezone or reclassify their property based upon one of two reasons. It was an error originally, or secondly, there's a significant change of character of the neighborhood or the area around their property. That's piecemeal. That's a person coming in and fulfilling what's in the code.
Right.
What happens in the master plan is called comprehensive rezoning. Comprehensive rezoning is not allowed to be petitioned by a private citizen. That is the role of a municipality's planning commission and council and staff to look at what the goals are for the next 10 years of a town. And if there's a goal which makes sense to taking a tract, plural properties, more than one, and rezoning them for the purposes of growing that purpose. And that purpose was described in your master plan as an economic goal. And so the commission did look at the approval of that goal and how to reach it through the comprehensive rezoning of an area of current structures, dwelling units, okay, from residential. And so we had a lot of options to look at meeting that economic goal. And as I explained when we had our joint commission meeting, we looked at what was available in the pockets of land that we could redevelop or develop on, those sorts of things. And they were strictly pockets. And if I recall correctly, the largest tract that we could find toward that economic goal for rezoning was about a 2-acre area.
Right.
Everything else was a patchwork quilt throughout the town. So the commission swung over and looked at that, trying to meet the need of an economic goal, comprehensive rezoning. As a side, we do know that down the road there's going to be the Century Business Park, if you're familiar with that. Not there yet, not within the 10-year 2033 plan. But that would have been another example of saying, hey, to reach that economic goal that you all wanted, we would look to that Century Business Park, the Plank property, as fulfilling that. But we couldn't. So that South Main area became now kind of that way to achieve that economic goal through comprehensive planning.
Correct.
Okay. Now, it's up to the council as to whether that is the way to meet that end, if you follow what I'm saying. And so as we went through, we did hold the required planning commission hearings to hear from anyone who had opposition to that tract of 20 homes fulfilling that goal through a comprehensive rezoning. And as you said, we didn't get anybody that seemed to oppose it. And so we carried it forward, as you all well know, and we had discussions, and the council approved not only that goal, but that way to meet that end. And the rest of the story, you've illuminated the opposition that came in.
Right.
So I close with this. If we push ourselves to 2030, which is when we ought to start the next comprehensive master plan, right? Give us 2 years. It took us 18 months, and we were pressed to meet that. If this code is in place and we have to do everything required by this code to propose comprehensive rezoning, plural properties to meet a goal, can you understand we're kind of hands tied because we have to go through and have all the environmental impact studies, for example, et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to think about how we can achieve a draft of a 2033 master plan if we have to follow everything in that. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I do.
And again, I know there was opposition, and I know we wanted to make sure there was some agreement of the property owners through the zoning administrator to that tract of land fulfilling that goal. But I'm just thinking what's required here may be difficult for us to go through and get a tract or comprehensive planning. What I'm thinking, and I hate to be pessimistic, is this code may very well prohibit comprehensive rezoning because of what all it requires. And if, as a council, you see an area where there's going to be good, sensible economic growth, you may not be able to do it if we have to do everything that's required in this new code.
What portion do you think would prohibit it? I mean, what would be the
think
prohibiting factor, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I think it's the studies, the subjective verification of whether it's going to affect an adjacent neighbor. There's a lot of words. I think it was mentioned before. Originally in some of the drafts, and I'm not sure if it's in this one, but it did call for a professional evaluation, and that kind of goes back to who does that? Who gets paid for that?
That was taken out.
Yeah, okay. So, but I think there's an environmental study still in there.
Not study, just
impact.
Consider these elements.
Yeah.
Yeah. The word study has actually been removed, but it to me, if just analyzing what it would do in the future prohibits us from doing it, then it prohibits us from making a mistake. I mean, I feel like if you look around to certain zoning areas, and I look at the first townhouse I bought in Mount Airy is at the Village of Tall Oaks, right? The townhome's right there. I backed up to Food Line. Nobody now would ever want to put a community commercial or a full CC district that abuts a residential home. Right? That doesn't happen. But it did, probably because nobody analyzed, well, what is going to end up going next to this? What's going to end up going next to that, right? So looking ahead and trying to, plan forward, I don't know if that's a bad thing, and I don't know if it prohibits us from doing it. The word professional study, all of that stuff was removed from the one that we're looking at now, and I know you didn't get a chance to see it because you had to vote on the original document. But for me, it's more of we need to ensure that we are doing the right thing, and we have to do the due diligence to make sure we're doing it. And that involves talking to every single resident that's affected. And if that takes time, it takes time. And that involves looking down the road, how is this going to affect abutting neighborhoods? The same way that we're expected to look at the Nottingham neighborhood and how this elite baseball is going to affect that neighborhood. Right? So, I mean, it's the same, it's the exact same thing. To that point, I mean, if I ignored all of Nottingham the same way that we're talking about this being too much, right, then we would make a decision that is uninformed, in my opinion.
And again, I preface by saying, I'm not going to try to sway any
No,
minds
I
here.
understand. You're coming from the planning commission role.
But just, yeah, from a planning, just put on the shoes of a planning commissioner now that has to develop a draft comprehensive master plan with goals that have to be, that have to be captured in options for the council to approve or disapprove. And as the Maryland land use regulations say, comprehensive rezoning is part of that master plan process from the planning commissioners. And put yourselves in our shoes. If we have to follow everything that's in this new amendment to develop that option for you, I'm just wondering how many more months we're going to have to lead into the next master plan is my point.
Yeah, I would hope that it won't be as long as what it was before. I think, but there was a lot of mitigating factors for that. But I think, sorry, go ahead. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, no, sorry.
Be quick.
I will, as to reinforce what he said, as for supporting and to try and reinforce mine. On page 5 or 6, under 11269, it says the time that it would do. He says the studies and everything. To reinforce mine, it says the full range of uses permitted in the proposed new zoning for the property. So if you've got a zoning that allows 20 uses of that property, no matter what it is, comprehensive or anything, you need to look at, I would interpret it as you need to look at the impacts of the property for all 20 uses of the proposal.
Isn't that already in code?
It probably is somewhere or something, but it should be better.
Right now, copy paste.
But it should be under the site plan, not this. I'm not, no, I don't believe it is done for the full uses. For a specific use, yes, when a site plan or you're proposing something, not for a full range of 20 uses. And then when you say there's no environmental study, well, environmental quality, the environmental impacts such as air impacts, noise, light, odors, water quality, discharges, and mitigation strategies.
Which our zoning administrator already does when he comes to us with a annexation review and everything else.
For one project, one specific purpose. But if you take number 2, full range of uses permitted under the zoning for that property. As I said, if somebody wanted to do something downtown, you've got 40 to 50 uses in the downtown zone that by a strict interpretation of this code, you would need to do something on, do that, and then do environmental quality studies related to it.
I'm going to cut you off there.
You're seeing it, but I don't.
I said be quiet.
Okay.
That is not the way that this is written. What it is written is, if we are going to rezone it a certain zone, you need to list what every intended use of that zone could be, not and then put a study on every single use. It is, here's the options that could go there, here's how it's going to affect it. I think you're trying to railroad this, so I'm going to ask you to turn your microphone off.
I just see things
That's not the
differently.
way, that's not the way a reasonable person would read this code. So, under no chance does any reasonable person expect you to list out 40 things and then 40 different reports and then 40 different things. That is absolutely obnoxious. What it is asking is what I've asked him before when they were rezoning Extended South Main is, what could possibly go there? And you know what he did? He went to the code, he copied it, he pasted it, and he sent me back an email. That's what this is asking for. All right? Sean?
30 seconds on the clock. I agree with Councilman Munder when you said, is there a problem with the master plan process? No, there isn't a problem with the process. I think this town is damn lucky that planning commission was there at this time when we needed them. And Chairman Gint was heading the helm and heading that project, and it was only 18 months late. I mean, we could in a different universe, we could still be, that could still not be final. So I'm not questioning the commission, the process. What I want here, what I see in this ordinance is the Commission of Volunteers and this council starting with a foundation that's sound from the staff. And you couldn't tell, it's funny how some of these meetings, there's echoes of other things, and earlier today, we had a bad foundation. So we're trying to get a solid foundation going forward to not have the angst and the confusion, as I said before, that we did last year.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. Did you have any closing remarks, anything?
Vote.
That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to move on to a vote. Chairman, again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. All right, so we have a motion. We had extended conversation for ordinance 2026-2 for standards and process for rezoning properties. This is for adoption. So all in favor of adopting ordinance 2026-2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay, for the reasons I stated.
Thank you. Next up, we have ordinance 2026-8, budget amendment to add $10,000 for historical society donation for adoption. And just to recap, this is a lot of just cleanup stuff from throughout the year and going from one fiscal year budget to the next. So ordinance 2026-8, budget amendment to add $10,000 for historical society donation for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Okay, before I start seconding, am I allowed to turn the mic back on, Council President?
No, you've wasted enough time. Somebody else second. Good. Jason seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of ordinance 2026-8, budget amendment to add $10,000 for historical society donation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next up, ordinance 2026-9, budget amendment to remove $295,500 for Flatiron Building Phase 2, building improvements. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor of budget amendment to remove $295,500 for the Flatiron Building Phase 2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2026-10, budget amendment to move $100,000 for state police grant from general fund to police station capital project fund for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor of ordinance 2026-10, budget amendment to move $100,000 for state police grant from general fund to police station capital project fund, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2026-11, budget amendment to remove $137,000 for public safety equipment for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of ordinance 2026-11, budget amendment to remove $137,000 for public safety equipment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ordinance 2026-12, budget amendment to remove $500,000 for Center Street connection for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in any discussion?
No.
All in favor of ordinance 2026-12, budget amendment to remove $500,000 for Center Street connection, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, now we have ordinance 2026-13. This is a budget amendment to reallocate $73,000 from streets and roads vehicles to streets and roads mobile equipment. This is for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes, sir, this is the one I mentioned earlier that I just have more question for. We're reallocating $73,000. The purchase order indicates approximately 35. So do we need to change this to show the real total, or what happens with the extra that we're allocating?
It's just not spent. So when I did this budget amendment, we didn't know exactly how much.
Yeah.
So I just moved the amount that we didn't spend on trucks and vehicles to this amount. It's just like if we hadn't moved it, and we spent less in not this much less, but if we had spent less on trucks and roads, it just
Gets reallocated the next fiscal year.
Yeah, it
Like
just
we're
doesn't
doing
get,
right
it just doesn't get spent.
Okay, but I mean, we don't need to do another budget ordinance to adjust the
just don't-
total, the differences. Okay,
We just don't spend.
that's it.
All right, thank you, Carl.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor of budget amendment, or I'm sorry, ordinance 2026-13, a budget amendment to reallocate $73,000 from streets and roads vehicles to streets and roads mobile equipment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. If everyone could please go back real quick to new business. And this is what we just approved for the budget amendment. It's a recommendation for approval to purchase a Bobcat mini track loader MT-120. Jared, just quick overview.
This was the same vehicle that we discussed during the budget session. It's just for our Public Works Department for snow removal as well as some other projects. And this has to do with the budget allocation that we just mentioned. And we're going to use the money that we did not spend on the truck purchase and the truck and the bucket truck purchases to purchase this.
Okay, perfect. And this will cut down on staff hourly wages, et cetera.
Yep.
They're going to.
Especially with heavy snow and stone and things like that, yep.
Okay, cool. So we should get a pretty good ROI on this, and I know we got a good deal on it as well.
We did, yep, yeah. Brian found a really good deal on it.
Okay,
so, yep.
fantastic. All right, I'll make a motion or recommendation, or I'm sorry, a motion to approve a Bobcat mini track loader MT 120. Did we have the final cost on that?
It should be the second page on the,
Somewhere in there.
On the recommendation
Yeah,
page.
in the amount of $36,086.72. Sorry, I didn't have it right in front of me. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of approving the recommendation to purchase a Bobcat mini track loader MT 120, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
What was that? Hey, you got a bucket and
right.
another piece of equipment
Next
with it.
up, ordinance 2026-14, budget amendment to remove $825,000 for Rails to Trails east of 27. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving or adopting ordinance 2026-14, a budget amendment to remove $825,000 for Rails to Trails east of 27, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Ordinance 2026-15, budget amendment to remove $171,751 for town police for salaries and wages. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving ordinance 2026-15, budget amendment to remove $171,751 for town police for salaries and wages, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2026-16, budget amendment to remove $30,000 for town police force retirement. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of ordinance 2026-16, budget amendment to remove $30,000 for town police force retirement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2026-17, budget amendment to remove $72,238 for town police force benefits. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adopting ordinance 2026-17, budget amendment to remove $72,238 for town police force benefits, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2026-18, budget amendment to add $559,507 for PFAS class action settlement funds. This is for adoption. I'll definitely make a motion to adopt this one. Do we have a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
Sean's
Sean.
got it. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor of adopting ordinance 2026-18, budget amendment to add $559,507 for PFAS class action settlement funds, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ordinance 2026-19, budget amendment to remove $3,873,560 for water system PFAS remediation. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adopting 2026-19, budget amendment to remove $3,873,560 for water system PFAS remediation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ordinance 2026-20, budget amendment to remove $982,500 for police station for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of ordinance 2026-20 being adopted, budget amendment to remove $982,500 for police station, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2026-21, budget amendment to remove $193,378 for principal on bonds and notes and interest on bonds and notes. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adopting ordinance 2026-21, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2026-22, food truck for introduction and referral to Planning Commission. I'll open up the table for introduction.
like to make a motion for introduction of ordinance 2026-22, food truck ordinance for introduction and referral to Planning Commission.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. That'll go off to the Planning Commission. Sorry, I just didn't want to take somebody else's work.
I wasn't sure if Sean was going to grab it or not for me.
And then we got,
since he's planning liaison.
Ordinance 2026-23, emergency budget amendment to allocate an additional $306,000 to the water and sewer operating budget for necessary sewer maintenance and repairs. This is for adoption. I'll make a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Did this already happen, or, yeah?
This was the big water main break there by the
Twin Arch?
Under Highway 27.
sewer break by
Behind
Twin
the
Arch.
Carnival grounds.
Yeah.
And kudos to town staff and everybody for handling that.
Yeah.
That was
The guy,
incredible.
I agree. Just kudos, Brian and his
fix.
guys got out there quick, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Could have
to
been much worse.
everybody that handled that, and while it is expensive, it could have been a lot worse and a lot messier. So Barney, staff, everybody, thank you guys for that. All right, all in favor of ordinance 2026-23, the emergency budget amendment to allocate an additional $306,000 to the water and sewer operating budget for necessary and already completed sewer maintenance and repairs for adoption, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thankfully, we have no unfinished business. We will move into closed session we'll roll call into closed session. At the conclusion of that session, this meeting will be adjourned. Councilmember Demoter?
Aye.
Councilmember Munder?
Aye.
Council Secretary? Yes.
I put it in anticipation that this might be a longie. I wrapped what I would say in the closed session very briefly.
Oh, then I will make a motion.
Somebody else has something, but go ahead for what I would.
I got one thing, it won't take more
Okay.
than 5
Okay. But let me just verify what Tom's.
Nope, shh. All right, so what we got is, we're on Council Secretary Evans.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Aye. I'm an aye as well. We will see everybody next month. Thank you.
Hey,
Keep talking.